Hello, everyone, and welcome to the session. My name is Nazrin. I'll be your facilitator this afternoon. Thank you for spending some time with me during this National Training Week topic. Even though the National Training Week is next month, I have no availability next month, but I still want to contribute, so I decided to start 1 month early. Also, it's given me the opportunity to help my other friends, and they say, "Why, Nazrin? Why you start so early?" So now all of them are now registering their own topics to be able to teach. So the topic today for the next 4 hours, it'll be learning culture, building sustainable change through learning. And welcome to the session again. For those who just popped in, my name is Nazrin, and I'm going to introduce myself a little bit before we kick this off. Yeah. You'll see a lot of this word, a lot of this logo today. I used to work for a company called Accenture. And for those who are not aware, Accenture is one of the top 4, top 5 global consulting companies in the world. When I first started in 2008, they had 500,000 staff, and that number has not stopped growing. Most of their staff, I believe, are programmers, tech people, with a smaller percentage then will be consultants. So I left Accenture in 2015 and I started out my own learning and performance consultancy. I operate in Malaysia, Cambodia, and Brunei. In Cambodia, I co-run a company called the Capacity Specialist, and we have over there we do a lot more learning and performance projects. In Malaysia, I do a lot more workshops that help organizations to pick up skills. I've been active in the market since 2015, since I left Accenture, and these are some of my favorite clients. And as you can see, that's not a typo. Accenture is also one of my clients. So it's probably a dream of every employee that when you leave the company then takes you on as a contractor or takes you on as a vendor. So yes, Accenture is probably also my client. I'm able to continue the work I used to do back then, but now from an external point of view. I've also done long-term leadership development programs for FGV, for Sime Darby Plantation, for Smart Axiata in Cambodia, for Prudential Assurance also in Cambodia. And now I've just yesterday, I kicked off a leadership development program for Porsche Malaysia. So that was exciting because in the classroom, there was a car. There was actually a Porsche car. And as I left as we closed the session, the CEO of Porsche Malaysia gave me a car. Not a real life car, but good enough. I mean, this is the Sime Darby racing team model, and I doubt you can find it in shops anywhere. So I'm hanging on to this one. A little bit about me in terms of my learning and development background. I started in L&D quite late in my career. So my career started in 2001 as a journalist. Sorry, 1997. Technically 1997 as a journalist for about 7 years up until 2004. And then from 2004 onwards, I started working in learning and development. But I really cut my teeth in L&D about 2006 and 2008. So 2008 was when I joined Accenture for 7 years. And I like to tell people it was chronologically 7 years, but it felt like 14 years because they they really give you a lot of stuff to do. So I really enjoyed my work there. But for work-life balance decisions, I decided to leave and focus more on my family. So since then, I've also been doing work in other countries. And my favorite kind of thing to do is to do L&D development work in Cambodia, because Cambodia is a little bit behind Malaysia in terms of maturity in L&D. So I've been invited quite a bit to help organizations to ramp up their L&D services, help with their. If I were to do it here, right, I have a lot of competitors, but in Cambodia, there's very few competitors. I've also been part of an organization, an NGO called L&D Cambodia. It collects together all L&D practitioners throughout the country, and it creates a community of practice. So I'm even though I'm Malaysian, I'm proud to be part of that as well. I help them with their communication, with their upskilling, with a lot of their work that they want to do. So basically, as you can tell, anything and everything, I'll help with that. Today's session will deal a lot with my experience in that company named Accenture. Officially, I joined Accenture on the 3rd of March 2008. I'm good with dates. I was terrible with dates when I was in school studying history. But when these things happened to me, I remember these dates. So on the 3rd of March 2008, I joined Accenture. And Accenture is this huge company with many, many divisions. So my division was called Accenture Learning. And when I tell people it's a division, it's a bit confusing because what's counted as a division in Accenture is actually 500 people large, right? So Accenture Learning is 500 people large globally across the planet. We are spread out across 5 learning centers. St. Charles in Chicago, in Michigan. That was the very first one, founded in the 50s. And then there was one in Milton Keynes in the UK, which eventually moved to Heathrow Airport. There was one in Madrid, Spain. And there was the one we set up in Kuala Lumpur, the Kuala Lumpur Center of Excellence, which was based in Sheraton Imperial Hotel in Kuala Lumpur, downtown KL. The one that got set up after us was the Learning Center in Bangalore, India. So we were the 4th one to be set up. And for 7 years, I really enjoyed my work there. I've enjoyed traveling. So they sent me to the States, they sent me to Australia, to India, to the Philippines, which was a lot of fun because I love traveling, but I love traveling for work as well. So a lot of what I'll be sharing with you comes from my experience there, the work I've done with organizations, and also some stuff that just from pure reading and things that I found on the internet that has really helped me in my work as well. So I'll give you stuff that works rather than just read and then give you copy and paste. Yeah. So this slide shows you what it looks like at our learning center in the Kuala Lumpur Center of Excellence. The top left photo is the lounge. That's my favorite place to be because that's all IKEA furniture, by the way. It was designed by an interior designer who really knows his stuff. But the classrooms are a bit staid, so you enjoy yourself outside. But when you come into the classroom, the picture bottom left is what a typical classroom would look like in the learning center. We have two of these types of classrooms, which can seat about 36 participants. And you can see tables at the back. I don't know if you can see that. We have faculty. We don't call them trainers. We have faculty, and there's enough space for 9 faculty to sit at the back because it's tiring for one trainer to carry the whole day. So these 9 faculty will take turns to teach certain parts of the day. The other 3 pictures are actually something that back then was considered high tech. This was the Accenture Connected Classroom. So the Accenture Connected Classroom allowed us to have training between countries at the same time, where a classroom in India and a classroom in Malaysia would be joined together, and faculty from both sides of both countries can teach each other. The only thing we didn't have was virtual reality. So we had really big screens, and every table, as you can see down there, bottom right, every table also had their own screen. So they could see slides, they could see the videos from the other side. And I remember we use a lot of Cisco technology. I'm going to shock you right now. That classroom, just that classroom, which fits very few people, about 20 people at any one time, participants, that whole classroom costs 1 million ringgit. Everything that set up, the renovations, everything in there costs 1 million ringgit. And you'd be shocked because back then we didn't have Zoom, we didn't have WebEx, we didn't all of this stuff. We were still running off of some Cisco technology and Cisco hardware. But technology moves really, really fast. Barely a few years later, we can now do this at almost zero cost. All you need is like a big TV screen and you sync up really good internet. But back then it was not as easy to do. So that was considered high tech at the time. And I'm proud to say that I had a hand in getting the funding to be able to get this done. Sadly, though, about a couple of years, I think a year and a half after I left Accenture, they decided to merge. So the technical word is merge the KL Learning Center with the Bangalore Learning Center. But technically, none of the staff from the KL Learning Center joined Bangalore. So now only Bangalore exists in Asia to cater for all of the Accenture staff. So just in case you're wondering, the Learning Center caters only to Accenture staff, all of them, because Accenture puts in a lot of investment into its learning. Okay, so that being said, I apologize if you keep hearing that name. This will be a big case study that we refer to later on. For those of you who are first time in my virtual class in NTW, we've already run 3 classes so far. I see names I don't recognize. which means that this is your first time being with us. Let me introduce you to the course logistics. Okay, there is a website that the link I'll give you. This website contains all of the resources that you need throughout the next 4 hours. And the reason for this is I'm not very fond of putting in links into the chat. You know, when you go for a virtual class, the trainer will put in links. And then sometimes people are like, oh, I missed the links. I didn't see that. Can you put the link again? It gets very, very challenging because then I'm teaching and I'm managing at the same time. So what I've done is I've created a website that has all of the things that you need there. So that being said, I'm going to show you this website. First, I'm going to give you the link to the website. That's the one and only time I'm going to give you a link to anything. It is nazrin.com NTW 2024. This will be your resource page for today's session. But if you scroll down, you will see the past virtual classes from last week and this morning. There are 2 that have already been edited, the recordings, and are available on YouTube for you to watch. So even if you couldn't make it last week, you can still watch this. The first one we ran was L&D Made Easy, and we also ran a session on gamification. This morning's session was Know Thyself, which we talked about personality assessments. Video recording is not available yet, but if you check in on this page on Monday, it should be there. Yours is right here. Okay, so everything you need for today's class is right here. Step 1, there's a button here for you to click to join the WhatsApp group. If you receive my mail, you would have received the same link. And the reason for the WhatsApp group is purely logistical. I will make announcements when the materials are ready, when the slides are ready for you to download, when the video is ready, things like that. However, this is not a permanent group. I hate permanent WhatsApp groups. I think we have too many WhatsApp groups already. So on June 5th, I will officially close the group. After today, if you decide to leave, fine, no problem. There's no problem at all. But I will usually make announcements 1 or 2 days after the session. So when you get into this page, please join the WhatsApp group to keep yourselves updated, because in July and August, I'll also be running 6 other classes that I'm just waiting for NTW to approve them. The second link goes to the Padlet. Now, if you don't know what a Padlet is, it is a very interactive site and a simple one, where we will be doing our activities for the next 4 hours here. So I'm going to ask you to do this now. Please click on the link to come into the Padlet, right? And then I want to see you come in. Okay, so people are starting to come in now. The best thing about Padlet is I can see people starting to pop in. Now, once you have popped in, you will see a section that says test your pad here. I need you to press on the plus sign next to the words test your pad here. Type in your name into the title. Type in hello into the body of the text, and then click publish. Now, you notice some people have already published. These are senior people who have been attending my courses. Edward, hello again. Farini, hello. Uma, hi. MK, Diana, Bharati, Salodin, Wailing, Nazira. Okay, so this is what it should look like. Hello, Shagri, nice. Come back. Hello, Christopher, nice to see you. So there are 32 people in the room, which means that we should be seeing 32 pads here. But in virtual sessions, some of you are on the run, you're listening to this like a webinar. I'm going to warn you up front, this is not a webinar. A webinar is like a podcast. You can listen, but no interaction. We will be doing activities. Yeah, we'll be doing activities to help you better understand what this is about. Okay, the next link is for the pre and post test. So when you click on that, you should come to a page like this. That is the test that you have to do before we start the class, and the test you have to do at the end of the class. Because I cannot monitor you, and I don't know whether you are lying down on the bed and the phone is next to you and you're listening and you've fallen asleep. So this is my way of making sure that you deserve your attendance certificate. So you'll do the pre-test now, and I'll make sure you to check the timing that you do it now, and you do the pre-test at the end of this class, and also check the timing to make sure you don't do both now. And that serves as evidence that you have attended the 4 hours, you understand the content. That way, you are deserving of your certificate. The next link is a Facebook post. So when you click on it, you should get this post. And the reason I set this up, very easy. Facebook is open to everyone. If you have questions you want to ask me, and you don't want to ask me during the Zoom session because you think, oh, it's too detailed or it takes too long to answer, or I don't want to bother people, no problem. Go to the Facebook post, ask your question there. That gives me time to answer. So you can, even 30 days from now, you ask also, I will answer that. All right. So I'll leave that open forever. Lah. It's on Facebook. It's basically there forever. The last link is click to download resources is a Google Drive where I add in resources that are useful for you. I haven't ever edited everything, but there will be things coming soon enough before next week. So as I explain the topic, I will sometimes refer to things. I will not be showing them to you. I will not explain to you. We only have 4 hours. So these are good reading materials for you to have. So, ladies and gentlemen, you know what comes next. What comes next is we're going to give you about 5 minutes to do the pre-test. When you are done, please type in done into the chat. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming to the session. We are now in our first section where we talk about learning, performance, and culture. 3 words that actually exist in a daisy chain. It goes from one to the other. One leads to the other. So what I want you to do is, you know your Padlet, go to the Padlet, okay? And then go to the section that says, describe your best learning experience, whether it was in school or university or in training, or you went for a workshop, or you went for a simulation, or you experienced a long-term 8-month learning project or something, doesn't matter. I want you to go to the Padlet and I want you to create a new pad, type in and describe your best learning experience. All right, go to the Padlet now and start typing in what's been your best learning experience. Edward says, best is to have hand-in-hand actual doing with the trainer. So that is something that you've had before. Okay, can you describe a bit more, Edward? What was that like? And if you'd like, maybe we could have you turn on your microphone. There are not a lot of people here today. Would you like to do that?
Okay. I think the best experience that I have is the coach do the session with you together. So he will guide you through some of the topic. If you don't know how to explain the topic, he will guide you how to explain it. But most of the time, he will let you conduct the topic to the participant first.
What?
And
He
then
will let you conduct the topic to the
yeah,
participants.
he will show once.
Uh-huh.
He will show one, and of course multiple section. But
Right.
the first section, he will show you how to conduct the topic, or how to practice how to deliver the topic.
Right.
And then the second session, he asks you to do on your own first.
Okay.
But he will be by your side lah.
Okay.
He will monitor you. He will see you. If you are stuck on certain part of the topic, then he will jump in and explain lah. Help you
So was this
explain.
like a train the trainer?
Yes, something like that.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
the one that I get a little confused, but now I understand.
Okay.
So your trainer was teaching you how to be a trainer, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much for that, Edward. Okay, so Rati says, my best learning experience was when I joined aviation industry and developed training department from scratch without knowledge on the industry, which means when you say your best learning experience, you learn on your own, right? You learn on your own. Very good. Interaction engagement, I don't know your name. You have to put your name into the tab. So interaction engagement, I like two ways engagement between learners and trainers, like application on the concept. I see. Okay, good. Ratika, yes, go ahead, type. No worries. Weiling says, my best learning, it's Chloe. Thank you, Chloe. Weiling says, my best learning experience was I had a lot of fun through activity and discussion. I can recall the objectives and apply it in my life. Thank you, Weiling, which means that the more you experience, the more engaged you are in a learning session, the easier it is for you to remember, the easier it is for you to, have long-term impact. So we talk about this as trainers, we talk about this as the concept of relevance, engagement, and satisfaction. Yeah, customer satisfaction. So if the training program is designed in such a way that it fulfills the relevance of your job, the content that's provided is relevant for your work, and the way it's delivered to you is engaging to your brain, and the setup, the food, the air conditioning, the spacing, the table, all of that fulfills your requirement as a customer. It satisfies you. Aircon not too hot, not too cold. Food not too spicy, not too terrible. Okay, because if you're missing one of these in the triangle, it can affect the learning process. Imagine going for a fantastic training course, but aircon very hot. It affects your ability to pick up the topic as well. Or aircon good, food terrible. Or worse, trainer engaging, trainer fun, but the topic is not relevant to my work. So you must have this triangle of, and some of you have missed it, you want to write it down: engagement, relevance, and satisfaction. So that satisfaction refers to the customer experience of, having a nice room to train in, the projector. Okay, I'll tell you this, right? I've been to a training session where the trainer was fantastic, the content was fantastic, aircon was fantastic, projector blur, very difficult to see the slides, and that impacted our learning process as well. So you have to understand that you must have that triangle of relevance, engagement, and satisfaction. You get these three right, good experience. Okay. Wong, some people are typing at the top, so I'll go top. Hillary says, my best learning experience when I learned through self-paced online learning, which is more flexible and manageable. So Hillary, you're probably someone who's very autonomy oriented. You like to control your pace of learning. You like to control how you learn. And you also like to stop and think, let me try and process this first before going forward. I guess you're probably not too fond of people rushing you. Wong Siu Yek says, my best learning experience was in the motivation of Dr. Lawrence. Oh, fantastic. Very famous trainer, very senior senior trainer that a lot of trainers look up to in Malaysia. So I don't doubt, certainly don't doubt that. The motivation changed my mind in solving problems, changed the strategic. Thank you very much for sharing that. Let's see, who else? Christopher, my best learning experience was when I attended a workshop where I was given worksheets to work on. That's a lot of work after each primary teaching, and gain my own insights or learnings right away. Definitely. So especially where adult learning is concerned, we have input, but we also need to work with that information immediately and create output. Okay, so if you go for trainings where the trainer is talking in front and you're writing in your workbook, that's only input. If there is no output from the participant, that means that the information hasn't gone in. So the fact that you had to do worksheets was fantastic. That means whoever designed that program knew their stuff. They knew that the information had to go in, had to be processed, had to make sense to you, and then when it comes out through you, you have now made the knowledge your own. Miko, hello Miko, welcome back. Miko says, best learning from a mentor, logistics industry. He taught me about life, on-the-job training, and throw me to training outstation. I agree. Sometimes when you're thrown, you grow faster. So you have to grow. In Accenture, it's called throwing you into the deep end of the pool. Norain, welcome back, says face-to-face training, hands-on training with real life, practical case study. Yes, because if you teach me theory only, I cannot relate it to something real. So give me a case study to work on or to something to study. Going back to college, university after leaving school for a few years. I don't know who you are, but yes, I've tried that as well. I'm currently doing my master's. It's like pulling teeth, I'm telling you. When you're working, and so it's quite challenging to be a university student, but I'm enjoying my process. Bharati says, my best learning experience was internship period. When implement the learning, I gain in job and gain experience. Good. Mock, my best learning experience was when the trainer allowed us to practical exercises, showcase the real world examples, and not read from the book or PowerPoint. Yogan says, enjoy training with activities and engagement. Uma says, my best learning experience was at learning section of human resource, which is helpful to implement at workplace. Salahuddin, welcome back. My best learning experience was when I managed to develop a new curriculum with the guidance of my manager. It gets better because they use it as the company standard. Salahuddin, basically you left behind a legacy. Yeah, so it's amal jariyah for you. Whatever happens then, all of the positives there, they will come to you, right? So that was That's fantastic. If you guys get to leave behind a legacy, imagine this, right? You did something that benefits a lot of people a long time until they redesign it. Rosaini says, back to student time, small study groups enforced by the teacher appear very beneficial to me. Suddenly can understand add method by my friend. Yes. So it depends, of course, on this is called personalized learning. Yeah. Personalized learning. If you have a training class with 30 people, that's not personalized learning. We're still giving you at high level. But when you mentor or when you coach, that's when you can go really deep dive and solve the unique problems of that particular participant or that particular employee. Jaden says, my best learning experience is during internship. My manager gave the opportunity to try and learn to gain more practical knowledge. Thank you. Farini, I experienced an enjoyable and fun experience during training, able to apply knowledge and transfer to myself, and I'm always curious to learn. And the session is thought-provoking. Thank you very much, everyone. Give yourselves a round of applause. I cannot see whether you're clapping or not, but clap for yourself anyway. Okay, so isn't it a little bit strange that, we're talking about learning culture? Why is it that the question would be your learning experience? Well, the thing is, what you experience in a training program, classroom, is actually a microcosm or a micro version of something much bigger at the organization level. If the organization can take the best parts of a classroom and expand it out into the rest of the organization, then you will get what is called a learning organization. And if you are HR people, if you're L&D people, and you have not encountered this book, I recommend go and find this book. uh, uh, it's very thick. I think it's 600, 800 pages thick. The book is right here somewhere. It's on my shelf. But I recommend you get this book if you have not read it. Let me just ask right now, how many people have read this book? Give me a yes or no. Oh, thank you very much, Chris. Good God. I keep doing this. Thank you. No, 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 no. Okay, so no worries. I'm not blaming you or anything. But the idea is this, that this book is pretty old. It's about 1994, 1995. I think 1991, by Peter M. Senge. And Peter M. Senge says that there is the art and practice of the learning organization. I'm telling you, this book was before its time. It was way before its time. There are still companies around the world, Malaysia especially, who are still not practicing becoming a learning organization. So what does he say about the learning organization? He says that a lot of executives, they focus on the process, they focus on the budget, they focus on the cost cutting, they focus on making things work. We must make more money. We must do things faster, right? So they focus on the management system, but they forget to focus on the education system, because education is information coming into the heads of their people, and it is new information that allows them to do their work better. But if you keep forcing your employees to do work, especially if it's new work, or it's the AI, Excel, all of this stuff, and you don't send them for training, you don't allow them to learn new things, what happens is eventually they start leaving the organization because they cannot do the work properly, and you're scolding them because they cannot do the work properly, or they find it much, much more difficult to catch up. And the reason, of course, for this is at that particular mentality. How many people, give me a yes or no in the chat, yeah? How many people have experienced this mentality in your organization? When times are good, oh, we got the money, we got the cash, we send you for training. But when times are bad, the first thing they cut is training. Who has experienced this, yes or no? I have had conversations with CEOs, and I ask them this question, and I'm going to ask you this question. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are parents, I hope there are parents in the room. If you are parents and your financial situation in your family is not good, right? Is this year is not doing very well. Would you pull your children out of school? Would you say, oh, mama cannot pay for school, we're going to take you out of school? Would you pull your children out of school? Yes or no? Farini says no. That's weird. Got no money, got no budget. Stop school lah. Why do you say no? Christopher says, Chinese culture says, as poor as we are, we'll not be poor towards education. Go cheaper school. There's always an opportunity, right? But weirdly, Why don't you pull out of school? Because education is an investment. You do not see the results up front. You'll see the results many, many years into the future. So the problem is, and even if it's homeschooling, the problem with this mentality is that if you cut budget for training now, if you cut budget for learning now, just so you can survive for the next few years, what happens is the people that eventually get promoted to manager in the next 5 years will not get that training, and by then it's too late. You have idiot managers, and this word comes from one of my bosses. You create idiot managers when you don't give them that education. You expect them to learn from mistakes in the organization. You expect them to suffer on their own, and just come with experience. But then you're making life difficult for them. So the question always remains, and when I tell this to CEOs, you can see that their eyes glaze over and they go, oh, shoot. So it requires a shift in mentality. Yeah, it requires a shift in mentality. And as Peter M. Senge describes, these are my words, my words. Because Peter Senge says that, therefore, you look after your cash flow, but you don't look after your knowledge flow. Knowledge flow is just as important as cash flow. The knowledge flow is what helps you to create more cash, if you understand it correctly. Okay, now let's pause for a second, because I'm sure some people are thinking, yeah, but every time I send people for training, no change also. They come back is the same. All right. There's another mentality in the organization that's also causing this problem. The mentality of training is a holiday. So boss will send their staff away for training 2 days and then come back. And then boss will say, okay, you enjoyed your 2-day holiday already. Now you have to pick up 2 days worth of work. Right? The superior, the supervisor, the manager doesn't actually sit down and ask, what did you learn? Doesn't actually assign them anything. Okay, now that you've learned this, I want you to apply what you've learned in this department. I send you for communication training. Yeah, I need you to do an analysis in this department. What are the communication issues that we have? And give me some recommendations. So if they did that, then they would have promoted that learning. Okay, so people just now in the Padlet said, okay, I learned best when I was given worksheets. So there's input, there's output. What if, I can't remember who it was, I'm sorry, but was it Edmund or something? Can't remember your name, I'm sorry. That you're trained the trainer. Imagine if your trainer just lectured the whole way and say, congratulations, you're now trainers. What would happen? You would not be a very good trainer, because he or she did not have the opportunity to see you practice. Okay, so a lot of training today in Malaysia, because HR and L&D in the organization don't actually care for the learning. They care for the KPI. Okay, they want to be able to tell their boss, HR people, L&D people say, okay, boss, we've done the training. My KPI tick already. But the actual KPI of training is knowledge transfer. Are they able to take that knowledge that they have learned and apply in the workplace to create better results? Can they create better results to increase productivity, to reduce wastage, to reduce time doing work? Can. If the answer is cannot, then the training did not work. And also the training did not work because we did not do monitoring. After the people come back, 30 people come back from training, what do you do with them? Nothing. Therefore, ta-da. And a lot of people I've met, companies I've met, I apologize if I'm going to offend you, but their focus is on claiming the money from HRDC. That's most important, must claim. Okay, doesn't matter whether the training is good or not, don't care, as long as we can claim the money back. So this is the kind of mentality we must adjust. Of course, the money in the fund is ours. Yes, we want to claim for training, but you must be really, really careful who you call to do training for your staff. Yeah, it is not a matter of any Tom, Dick, and Harry also can. That is very old school. New school, you want to be able to become a learning organization. What they learn actually becomes performance. So let me share with you the contents of another book. And this book is called Return on Learning. As you can see, the word Accenture is there. It was written by Don Vanthonhout, Accenture's very first chief learning officer. And the story behind this is that Don Vanthonhout is someone who's very passionate about learning. And Accenture does a lot of training programs for their staff, banyak. Let me tell you that right now, The 7 years I was there, I can see a lot of money was put into it. Yeah, to building learning centers, to flying people in for training, to doing virtual training. So where did I cut my teeth in virtual training? It was in Accenture lah. So that's why I'm comfortable doing virtual training even during the pandemic. In the early 2000s, I think it was 2001 or 2002, Accenture was going through a bit of a shift, a bit of a change. And leadership, as predicted, decides to cut budget for training. Yeah, so Accenture was the same as any other company back then. Decided to cut budget for training. Don Vantenhout discovered I cannot do this. He tried to convince the leadership, it didn't work. Because leadership wants to see data, wants to see numbers. Thankfully, Don is a statistician by training. Right? His degree is in statistics. So he went back to his university, met with his old professor. They built a robust statistical model that can calculate the return on investment of any training that they send their Accenture people for. Of course, it's proprietary. We don't have access to it. But he did about 6 months to 1 year research. For every Accenture person that went for training, when they came back, did their productivity improve? Did their performance improve? Did their deliverables become better? Did the project become more efficient? Right? So he tested all of that, and the measurement came back. Okay, the measurement came back at 353% return on investment. Can you believe it? That means for every dollar that you spend on training, you get that dollar back, though. It's not return off investment. Look at that. The word is return on investment. So for every dollar that you spend, you get that dollar back in value, and you get extra $3.53 value. So how did they calculate that? They went to the, so you have to understand, Accenture is a consultant, right? So they do projects. So they would track one participant, they go for a course. Maybe the course is APM, Accenture Project Management. If I remember right, monitoring and tracking. That was the title of the course. So they come, they learn how to monitor and track the costs and the budget at the time and the manpower of their projects. They would go home and they apply that. In fact, their project manager will insist they apply what they've learned. And then they will track the productivity of the project. There's there reduction in waste? Is there increase in efficiency? And they will take that, turn it into a dollar number. So all of this data collected over 6 months to a year came back with one number, 353% return on investment. And Don took that number to Accenture leadership and they said, prove to them, you see, if you cut training, you're not going to get this number. So if you keep doing training, even during tough times, the fact is, I'll tell you this, guys, when tough times happens, that's when you send people for training. Because tough times require new mindsets, new knowledge, new ways of doing things. Not keep hard, keep going, keep pushing until they die. So it's not, sadly, this mentality I'm telling you about is not intuitive. Not many people get it immediately. But when I explain it to you, it starts making sense. It becomes common sense. That when you are in a difficult moment, you need new mindsets, new ways of doing things in order to survive that. But because training in Malaysia is treated as a cost, treated as a cost, then it is easy to cut costs. But if your mindset is training is an investment, learning is an investment, that's when you start monitoring and tracking, making sure you get value for your money. You pay really close attention, and the attention doesn't just come from the training manager, it will come from the C-suite. That's how we know. How do we know that an organization has a learning culture? Is if they have a chief learning officer or a chief training officer, somebody at the C level who will monitor and also inquire what is needed by the training department or the learning department. Okay, so now Nazrin says, "Oh, very easy lah." Easy, it's not easy to do, but it starts from the top. So if you're here to ask me, Nazrin, how do I create a learning culture? Well, the easiest answer, number one, is start from the top. You have to convince the top of the benefit of a learning culture. You want people who can self-learn. You want people to stop escalating their issues. You want people to be able to solve their problems. Then everybody in the organization must be empowered to learn from themselves, for themselves. Yeah, but there are things that you have to do. As a result of all of this, Don wrote this book called Return on Learning. It's been referenced by many organizations that are intent on creating learning culture. So until 2015, I left on the 31st of August 2015. My last day at work was Merdeka Day. Accenture invested annually 800 million USD. And I don't doubt that now it is far more out there. All right. So I want you to ask yourself these questions. Do not have to answer the question lah. These are rhetorical questions and don't need to go to the Padlet as well. Actually, you can answer if you want. Yeah, but I want you to think about this. In your organization, is it safe for you to admit to your superior that you made a mistake? And when I'm saying safety, I'm not talking about physical safety. I'm saying psychological safety. Do you feel safe? Do you feel that if you admit your mistake, your superior will be fair to you? Yeah, sure, you made a mistake. Sure, there's something wrong. But do you feel that when I go to this person, when I talk to her, she will listen to me and understand I made a mistake and will be fair to me? So is it safe for you to admit to your superior that you made a mistake? That's the first question. Are you comfortable to give feedback, whether positive or negative, to your colleagues and superiors? Is it easy to get time off to learn? Or is it, oh, we cannot let you go for training today. We're going to get this month cannot, or next month cannot, very busy time. Is it easy for you to get time off to learn, even if you plan it 1 year in advance? Is it easy for you to practice what you've learned from a training session back at work? Or are there things that keep you from doing it? I'll say this, right? When I first left Accenture in 2015 and I joined the training industry in Malaysia, I ran quite a lot of training for operations level people, lower level people in the organization. Yeah. And this was when I encountered training managers who were just what we call checklisters. Yeah. Or just focus on box ticking. Okay, I'm done KPI. Okay, budget spent. Okay, training done. Okay. Or feedback form or got good feedback. Feedback is 4.5. Very good. So they are only looking for whether the training was enjoyable or not, but never actually focus on whether the training could be transferred back to work. Okay, so what happened is I kept getting this statement. Mr. Nazrin, thank you for the training. We really enjoyed it just now. But when I go back to work, my supervisor will insist I use his way. Tell me in the chat if you have ever experienced this with your own supervisor. You go for training and then you come back, you cannot apply because your supervisor insists must use his way. Tell me in the chat, yes or no. 2 yeses is already very sad. If 42 people in the room all say yes, can I'll be starting crying. Okay, so 2 people saja. Okay, Saladin says no, thank you. So the question is this: when you try to apply the knowledge that you gain for training, is it easy or is it actually difficult? Diana kata yes, mine not supervisor, top management. Hi. So can you see that it is not so much the training that's not effective. It is no support. You don't get support from your organization. But if you had a learning culture, that support would be there. Yeah, people will be helping you, people will be asking you questions. Imagine this lah, you come back from training and the first thing your manager does, sits you down and says, I heard you went for communication training. So can you please tell me what you learned? I really want to know. Okay, share with me. Okay, ask you questions. And then say to you, tell you what, you have the workbook. Can you teach the rest of the department what you learned? Okay, some people might immediately go, this one take advantage of me, make me free trainer. Yes, but also that's also one way for you to practice your knowledge. So if you want to be good at something, one way is to be able to practice it. The other way is to be able to teach it. So if you don't have opportunity to practice, at least teach to someone. It makes it clearer in your mind. You gain a better understanding because it's going through your brain again and again and again. Okay. Next, do you get recognition for your efforts as a result of implementing the knowledge from your training? Do people say, well done, thank you for, cascading, you went to learn and then you come back and you teach to us. Thank you so much for that. We really appreciate. Do you get that recognition? Do you get suggestions for improvements in your daily work? Or do you get scolded when you do work wrong, but when you do it right, nobody says anything? So the first question, do you get recognition for your efforts? That means if you do something correctly, do people say, this is a good job? Or is it only when you make mistakes, you get scolded? Or when you make mistakes, instead of getting scolded, you get suggestions for improvement, how you can avoid this mistake in the future. All right. And the last question is, are you rewarded for your performance? And if the answer is no to all of these questions, congratulations, your organization does not have a learning culture. Okay, so these are some of the, I would say, features, some of the classical characteristics of an organization as a learning culture. It is safe for you to admit a mistake so that you can learn from that mistake. It is comfortable for you to give feedback to your colleagues and superiors. That means they also need to learn. They also do something wrong. You tell them this is wrong. It is easy for you to get time off to learn. And when you get time off to learn, your boss does not kacau you on WhatsApp or email. Okay, I can already tell if an organization doesn't have a learning culture. In my class, somebody will have to pick up his phone. I have a call, urgent, which means that the organization did not plan for your learning. They still, and your supervisor still disturbing you, right? So time off is literally time off, no kacau. It is like you going for maternity leave. How is it maternity leave? They tak kacau you, but training they kacau you because they don't view it as important enough, right? Is it easy for you to practice your knowledge? If it is easy, you get support, people help you out, people ask you questions. Yes, you have a learning culture. You get recognized for your efforts. You get suggestions to help you with your mistakes, and you get rewarded for your performance. So the opposite of this, if the answer is yes, you have a learning culture. So what are some values of having learning culture? When I say values, these are things that you must have, like core values of learning cultures around the world. So that's why I say, think back to that fantastic learning experience that you had. And I want you, as I explain this to you, I want you to do an audit of those fantastic learning experiences. Yeah. How do you know, why were they fantastic learning experiences? Probably because they had these 4 learning culture values. Okay, MCA says, now my company, every HOD wants to send their staff training just due to KPI. Not about transfer knowledge or learning development. How? MK, I don't know how to answer the question. All I say is it has to start from the top. You have, I don't know what level of authority you have, but this is just wastage. Okay. If they still want to do KPI, fine. I'm sure there was a training needs analysis that was done. Okay, fine. So if you are in any level of authority, maybe you are training manager, you want to create, and later on we'll explain more about this, you want to create some sort of SOP, some sort of guide, a guidebook. Okay, everyone who go for training, here's some recommendation. When you come back from training, here are things that you should do, that you can do. Step 1, teach what you learned to someone in your office. Step 2, do a quick analysis of your department using the knowledge that you have learned. So if their supervisor will not do it, then if you're the training manager, I don't know who you guys are, if you're HR training manager, come up with a very simple SOP, or tell them, okay, after coming back for training, this is what you want to do so that you can have better retention of that knowledge. But if nobody supports them, then nothing will happen. I'll give a good example in Malaysia, right? In Malaysia, we used to have science and maths taught in English. Remember this? Was the project successful or not? Tell me yes or no. And don't tell me it's complicated. Give me a yes or no. Was the project successful or not? Teaching maths and science in English. Oh, Wiley, give me a uppercase no. Okay, so there is one big reason why is because when these children go back to school, or go back home, they do not have an environment, they do not have parents who can help them to facilitate that, to keep learning, to keep practicing their English. Sometimes even their environment goes, "Huyo, speaking English, kononnya macam orang putih gitu." Right? So this is the kind of environment that does not create learning, does not create a want for learning. Plus, you have to practice. Mathematics and science, you can practice this regardless of language. And Christopher is right, language is a challenge. You want to teach language, teach it using the language that they know. So if they know Bahasa, teach English using Bahasa, not teach English using maths and science. That's my opinion. And you know, I have friends who are in academia, they hold the same opinion as well. Lina says project is not successful, but I'm proud to be the first batch of students to study math and science and English. Thank you. Congratulations. Well done with that. The idea here is that leaders sometimes when they design interventions, they design just for KPI. They don't look at effectiveness and efficiency. So MK, you were saying they just want to meet KPI. Jadi ke tak jadi belakang cerita. Okay. So thank you for your participation. Thank you for typing in. I know it's not easy to take time to type. I appreciate it very much. So if you want to do an audit, okay, this is 4 hours. I can give you high level. This is not a 2-day course. If you want to do an audit of your learning, of your organization's learning culture to see whether it exists, first thing, there must be safety and acceptance. Okay. Second thing is there must be reinforcement and reminders. Third thing, you must have encouragement and recognition. And fourth thing, you must have performance and rewards. These 4 things are the responsibility of the organization to prepare. Okay, they must do something to prepare so that this happens. If you don't do this, then you don't build the structure, you don't build the foundation to even have a learning culture. That's why some people, the organization is toxic as hell. There's F words flying around in meetings. There is cold storage happening. Okay, you don't do the work, I send you cold storage. So if you want to build a learning culture, you have to build it on top of these 4 things. They must be institutionalized. It must be in the SOPs, must be in the policies. It must be structured. But if it's all just cakap saja, nothing's going to happen. So what is safety and acceptance? You must create a growth environment. You want to have a growth mindset? You must have create a growth environment of allowing, giving, and receiving of feedback. Yeah, everybody says, oh, we must have 2-way communication. I did a focus group for an insurance company recently. And all the leaders say, yeah, we must have 2-way conversation with our staff. But when I did the focus group with the staff, they said, these people, they say they want open communication. But when we escalate our problems to them, they do not come up with a solution. They come up with an explanation. Okay, the explanation is, oh, the policies of the company don't allow that. Cannot do anything lah. So what? You're not going to fight to change the policies? If everybody is saying that they have the same problem, that means it's endemic. It comes from the policies. That has to be changed. Or cannot. Policy states cannot. Like we cannot this one, that cannot. So eventually, employees no longer raise issues. They no longer raise concerns because they don't get solutions. They get explanations. And then leaders say, why these people don't tell us these issues? Because the exact same thing. Every time they raise, they don't get solutions, they get explanations. Guys, if you're in HR or L&D, I give you permission, use this sentence, please. Dear leaders, if you want your people to communicate their issues to you openly and honestly, do not give them explanations, work with them to come up with solutions, even if it's a small solution. It cannot solve everything, fine. Show to them that you care enough, empathic enough to at least raise it to the board, something. But if you ask for 2-way open communication and they do communicate to you and you stop them with an explanation and they don't communicate anymore, well, your explanation is right there. That's the reason it happens. So if I could empower you with some words, take to your leadership, explain to them. I went for a four-hour learning culture building program. Very good, run by this very good-looking trainer named Nazrin. Very expert. Sela, just Sela. And he says, this one happens because of this. Let me explain to you. I don't know whether you're going to get scolded or not, but try lah. Weiling says, my friend was working for a company where KPI of the CEO in having high retention rate, hence no one gets fired. Fantastic. Fantastic. Mike says not successful, partly due to poor preparation to implement it. Yes, Many rural areas, teachers can't even speak English, yet was assigned to teach maths and science in English. Ended, some politicians benefited from the projects, some, yeah. Huge purchase of software and hardware. So again, the mentality is the same. Not focus on effectiveness or efficiency, just focus on KPI. Okay, we want to create students who can speak in English, but not being looking at the process itself. I got scolded because I share an issue with my HOD HR. He said he hired me as learning manager, so I must know how to solve problem by myself. I hired you as a learning manager, so learn lah. What's the problem? Guys, I think if you're sitting here with me right now and you feel like you're in the same boat, the reason is toxic environments can never grow a learning culture. It'll never work. Learning culture requires safety and acceptance, requires psychological safety for it to bloom. If you don't have this one, don't talk lah. Okay, but if you want to be hero and you have the time and the space and the passion, you want to change your company's culture, then I support you. In fact, you have my phone number, your email address. Get in touch with me whenever you need me. Ask me for help. In fact, there's a few people here, there's a few friends in here who have already done it for their organizations. Let's figure out how we can help you. Okay, that's an open invitation to you, mind you. Even the people who are watching this on recording, yeah, if you're watching this on YouTube right now, recording, that's an open invitation to you. Find me, WhatsApp me, email me, introduce yourself, and then let's see what we can do to help you out. I might not be able to do projects for you or solve your problem, but I'll be certainly happy to share with you some advice. Number 2, reinforcement and reminders. Guys, if your child learn to brush teeth today, let me ask you this question. Eh? She learns how to brush teeth today. Tomorrow, will she brush her teeth on her own? Yes or no? Everybody says no. What do you need to do? You need to remind her, okay, baby, go and brush your teeth, yeah? Reinforcement and remind. Okay, don't focus on the word force, yeah? Reinforcement actually means giving them support, giving them reminders, giving them structure. So in one of my friend's houses, you know what he does? He prints out, for the younger children, he prints out an SOP, step 1, 2, 3, what to do. Take the toothbrush, wash the toothbrush first. Step 2, put only a little bit amount of toothpaste. I did not know this until quite late in my life. I follow the advert now. The TV advert shows you take the whole toothpaste, put on the whole brush. On the whole brush, because I saw it in the advert. So most of my life, that's how much I used. My dentist say, and I confirm, I went on the internet, I checked. My dentist say all you need is that much. Pea-sized. Pea-sized now, not the whole brush. That one is just iklan, advertising only. So all this while, I've been using toothpaste habis cepat because I've been following the advert. Okay? So my friend actually has SOP for the children, pasted on the wall, laminated, pasted on the bathroom wall. Step 1, 2, 3, 4, sampai wash the brush again, put back into the cup. You need to have reinforcement and reminders. You cannot just say, hey, I taught you this just now. Why you cannot do on your own? Right? So you must have structure for them. Let's see what we have here. So we got Christopher says, brush your teeth, you can have a sweet as a reward. Just kidding. No. Daddy, you already said, you cannot say just kidding, Daddy. You're going to give me the sweet, I'm going to brush my teeth. Santa Mara says, doing together as a parent. Yes. So if you wake up together and you go to school, you go to work, she goes to school, and your morning routine is the same, then you can do together. My son recently was taught in school, Western style. No? So he took a cup, a mug from the kitchen without telling us, just because he wants to brush his teeth. Because Western style brush teeth must have a mug and water there. I just brush from the shower. I just put water in my mouth from the shower. So we have to indulge him because he's in the learning process and he enjoys brushing his teeth. So reinforcement and reminders after safety and acceptance. Yeah. Now, what is reinforcement and reminders here? Providing a growth structure. Structure, not just, okay, go, have fun. Cannot. You must have structure of physical. So like SOPs, reminder posters. Nowadays, when I come into companies, I see a lot of sexual harassment, anti-sexual harassment reminder posters, complete with how do you know whether it's sexual harassment? So I went to another insurance company and there was a poster. The poster said, "How are you doing today?" And then there's a line though. And underneath the line is baby. So the whole sentence reads, "How are you doing today, baby?" And the poster says, "Know where the line is." The line is when they say baby. So it gives an example. So things like this help to support the growth because there's reinforcement and reminders. So physical, virtual, whatever you want, but you must provide structure. Number 3, encouragement and recognition. This is where the people part is. Bukan HR saja kena buat. Everybody must do this top down. It starts from the top. So even leaders must do this. Support each other in their growth journey. Ask them, "Hey, I heard you're studying Microsoft Excel now. Hey, how are you doing with that?" Okay, so we want to find out and we want to check in. There is, okay, I'm going to mention his name right now because his name is coming up soon. There is a leader who I benchmark as a good leader. He's the leader I follow. I try to emulate. His name is Kamaruddin Zakaria, or for short, KZ. I don't know if anybody knows this person. Just tell me if you do, right? KZ was from Petronas. He's now retired, semi-retired, working as a consultant. But KZ used to be the MD, Managing Director of Petronas Penapisan Melaka. PPM, Petronas Penapisan Melaka, is the Petronas oil refinery. And then he moved to Terengganu, where he became the CEO of Petronas Penapisan Terengganu. And then he moved to corporate. He moved to KLCC. They brought him to KLCC. He became vice president. So he managed to reach quite high levels. But the one thing I remember about him is that everybody loves him. His staff all love him. And when I saw him interact with his staff, he remembers, in PPM in Melaka, he remembers the names of all 500 staff. I don't care if you don't believe me. He remembers the names of all 500 staff, and he knows the sort of like status of everyone whose wife is pregnant, who is just came back from training, who is like, how do you do this? I asked him. He has a book. He has a small logbook. He writes by hand the name of every person. And in Petronas, it's easy because all names are abbreviated into letters. So everybody calls him KZ. Some people got FD, something like that, right? So he writes down their names. And when he finds out something about them, he writes it down somewhere. So he actually puts in effort. Okay, maybe now he doesn't remember anybody's name because he's moved on. But at the time, they were telling me he remembers everyone's names. So I rather believe his staff than if he said it. He says, "I remember 500 names." Maybe I won't believe, but his own staff said so. Okay, so the idea is that you want to be a leader, you want to be a colleague, you want to be a subordinate that supports everybody's learning by being interested, by paying attention, by saying, "Hey, I read an article that might help you. Come, let me send you the article." There are some, hang on. I just thought of this. Are you in some WhatsApp groups that actually do have a learning culture, where people do share very interesting, very useful links and articles, but not good morning graphics? Are you in any WhatsApp groups that are actually useful for you? Edward says no. Alina says yes. Oh God, Diana says no. Sharing IR cases, yeah. So these are what we call communities of practice. If you are in a HR group and they are actually useful, congratulations. That's your learning culture right there. So let me ask you this question. The people who said yes, people who said yes, do you feel safe in that group? Do you get reinforcements and reminders? Do you get encouragement and recognition? Yes or no? In those WhatsApp groups. Ta-da! So at a very small level, that's what it should feel like. But if you can pot that up to organizational level, which is of course difficult, but you know what a learning culture is. It's there. Okay. And last but not least is performance and rewards. You want to provide growth prestige. What's the point of growing if we cannot celebrate it? I want you to imagine this lah. You go for a 4-year degree, you struggle like heck. You suffer through the exams, right? Study and all of that stuff. At the end of it, the university says, "Congratulations, you graduated. We will email you your certificate." There is no graduation ceremony. Sorry, no cure. We don't have ceremony, no graduation ceremony for you. You'll get your certificate in the email. How do you feel? It's like hanging in the middle of the sky. Upset now. I pay so much money, unsatisfied, cheated and conned, not being appreciated, demotivated. So imagine a learning culture without performance and rewards. So in your WhatsApp group, still okay lah. You just go safety, reinforcement, encouragement, but you don't have that buzz, you know. You don't have that you don't have that feel. So I want you to think about something. Imagine your WhatsApp group, they say, hey, we have been online for so long, why don't we do a gathering? And in the gathering, we'll eat together, we'll talk together, we'll share with each other, and maybe we can, you know, do some competition. And I would like to propose we have most helpful member of this WhatsApp group award. Okay, kita kumpul-kumpul money, okay, and then we vote, and then we give you a gathering. Your WhatsApp group will feel much more special after that because of just that one time. And even if you do it only one time, people will be talking about it for months. I'll give you another set of words for you to take back to your leadership, yeah? You have heard of the word manager. Manager. Okay, the word manager originally came about through industrialization, right? So the Industrial Revolution created factories. And in each factory, you have a manager, and their job is to manage processes. That's the definition of a word manager. Manage process, manage cost, manage input, output, manage efficiency, productivity, manage the whole thing lah, from start to end. Okay. However, as the work started becoming more complex, becoming more people-oriented, right? You had to manage people instead. So then they came up with the word people manager. But the original meaning for manager is manage processes. So if I were to ask you this question, it's the language. Yeah, that's the word. Do you like to be managed? Tell me in the chat, yes or no. Do you like to be managed? Just that word. Christopher says no. But why are you fighting this? That person is your manager. So of course they manage you lah. Why you say you don't like to be managed? You see, even you instinctively, you know that that's something wrong right there. So I'm going to give you a set that you can take to your leaders. The actual thing that leaders should do, they should manage the processes. My teacher who taught me Lean Six Sigma, right? Lean Six Sigma is a process management and a very complex process problem solving methodology. And he said to me, be hard on the process, be tough on the process, make sure you cut the cost, cut the amount of time down, manage the process, be hard on the process, but be kind to the people. That blew my mind because that's exactly what my other teachers have taught me. Manage processes, but engage people. Manage processes, but engage people. My question, did you just get an aha moment? If yes, tell me yes. This is the problem with a lot of organizations. They cannot tell the difference between the logical and the emotional. So they treat people as if they were robots because they think that people are the processes. People are not the processes. You cannot cut people. You can cut costs. You cannot cut people. I'll leave you to think about that for a while. So if you can take on this mentality, you take on this mindset, guys, then you will have much better conversations with your leaders. Prepare yourself to have deeper and more mature conversations. If you're sitting there and you go, thank you very much, Nazrin, but I will never be able to persuade my... Okay, that's fine. I understand. But that's what you say. What if you gain a bit more courage? Or maybe you move to an organization where you believe, okay, this one I can do here. So don't just immediately think, okay, Nazrin, thank you for your webinar. I'm listening, but I don't believe. All I'm asking you to do is keep it for a while, right? If you can't use it in your current organization, KIV for now. That's okay. But aim to actually one day make this work. Okay, so until you're brave enough to tell people to their face, boss, manage processes, but engage people. And I'll say this, right? So I did Porsche the last couple of days. I gave them this sentence. You can see light bulbs pop. You can see their faces change. Like, Oh, no wonder. No wonder I've not been getting the efficiency and effectiveness I've been looking for all this while, because I treat people like that. Okay. So now we're coming up to a break at 3:45. So I'm going to go through the concept of learning culture components. You'll start noticing we're going from conceptual to now something very, very practical. Okay. So this model was created to document how Microsoft created their new learning culture. The new CEO of Microsoft discovered that Microsoft was stagnating. Yes, Satya Nadella. And he needed to jumpstart Microsoft's creativity and institute an engagement and learning culture. So now, sometimes when in the industry, you don't hear people using the word learning culture, they'll use the word engagement. Technically, it's the same, right? It's part and parcel of the same. When you engage people, people are more willing to grow, more willing to make mistakes, more willing to try new things, more willing to learn. Yeah. So we call it a learning culture because we are from the L&D, we're L&D people. Yeah. This was used to document, analyze the case study of Microsoft of how they did things. So they discovered that outside of everything, trust and respect, shared mission, openness to new ideas, experimentation, continuous improvement, okay, is fundamental. The way I learned it, I gave you the 4 learning culture values just now. Safety, encouragement, rewards, it is recognition. Yeah. So those 4 things must have. In this model, they say trust and respect, shared mission, openness, new ideas, and experimentation, and continuous improvement, pretty much the same, just seeing from different angles. They also identify that the learning culture exists at value level, which means mindset level, at processes level, which means the policies must change, the SOPs must change, the documentation, the support for the processes also must change, and at the practices level. Practices level, on the ground, are they actually doing as per the SOP? I used to work as a process consultant, and I was horrified to find that some companies, they got process documents that were not referred to. It was done for ISO purposes and then kept. Nobody referred to it. Have you seen this happen before? Tell me yes or no. They have process documents, but it's not being used. It was just used to ISO saja and then keep. Yes, was forced to sign buta-buta when HQ came. Alina. Wang Suyak says yes. Okay, nobody else is answering, so I guess it's not a big phenomenon, especially now because companies get audited all the time now. But back then, I did this in 2006 to 2008, 2 years as a process consultant. It was okay. I didn't enjoy myself much because I discovered a lot of cobwebs, a lot of skeletons in companies' closets. One of them, can you imagine, a process document written totally in text using totally bullet points. Can you imagine? It's a process, not process mapping, not diagram, not flow charting, but text in bullet points. So as you can see, the yellow circle is the organizational culture. The culture itself must support through these 4 things, and it must support at 3 different levels: values, processes, practices. What are the components that must be there? You must have resources and development opportunities. Okay, resources means time, money, systems. Opportunities means you must create space and time. So every year, okay, for example, government does this, right? You must take 7 days, your KPI must go for training 7 days every year. Okay, but that is what you must do. Do you create opportunities for people to actually go for training? Do you actually schedule some time off? So if you don't, the company doesn't do it, it's just lip service saja lah. Managers' involvement. The direct manager must be involved in the learning processes of their people. And anybody who came for L&D Made Easy last week will remember I said that one way for you to create a learning culture, to have a knowledge transfer, the manager themselves must ask the question, what did you learn in this training program? Please tell me. Or the manager says, okay, now with your knowledge, go and teach the rest of our department. You don't remember everything? Never mind. Just teach them what you do remember. A bit more than that, please use what knowledge you have learned to analyze the problems in this department. You went for project management training, right? Okay, can you please analyze what we're doing correctly, what we're doing wrong, and then tell me. A bit stronger than that, I trust you to do the research, find out. I'll give you the time, I'll give you the space, I'll give you time off from your work, come up with a proposal, okay, and then what should we do to fix? More than that, I give you full responsibility. This is your new task. I want you to fix all of the project management issues that we have. Itu action learning project terus. Okay, so the idea is that if the managers are not interested, they're not involved in their people's learning, then that's it lah, habis lah. Okay, so that's why whenever I run training programs, I will insist that we involve their managers. So I will usually do a 30-minute or 1-hour video call. So 30 participants coming for training, 30 people. Usually above them, there are 4 or 5 managers. Many of them share their same managers. So these 4 or 5 people, I will call onto a video call, or if I can, I go to the company and meet. And I will teach them at a high level what their people are going to learn. So I say, okay, these are the things they're going to learn. Remember to ask them about it. So that when they come back, you say, hey, I heard you learned about social styles. Tell me more about social styles. And the participant go, alamak, my boss knows. I cannot run. I cannot chong this guy. But the fact is the boss didn't go for the training. The boss got a brief from me, and I've given them coaching questions, how to get the best out of their people when they come back from training. So if this is giving you ideas, HR people, if this is giving you ideas, you can also interact with their superiors when you send your people for training. You say, okay, bosses, your people are going for Microsoft Excel training. Here are a few things you can get them to start working on when they come back. Here are a few questions you can ask them. So feel free to do that. Yeah, if you do that, saya dapat pahala, saya dapat amal jariah. Number 3, learning agility. We must recognize that people learn differently. So if you only put out videos for people to learn from, people like to read. Some people like to read. You need to be able to customize so that you have accessibility. We don't have much of this in Malaysia, but in the West, when they do e-learning, they ensure that there is full accessibility for people who can see, people who can only hear, people who can only read but cannot hear. So if you're deaf, if you're blind, if you're deaf, right, you still have accessibility. That's why TikTok videos nowadays, you can watch without the sound because you have subtitles. Yeah. So learning agility also means making it accessible to everybody. Last one is the ability to share and learn from others, which means that you create a community where everybody learns from each other. And guess what? Those WhatsApp groups that you enjoy being part of, that's what they do lah. They are sharing and learning from each other. Sometimes you ask a question and you get answers from everyone. That is fantastic. But why can't we do that in the workplace? Because of the mentality. Okay. So I'm going to share with you 2 case studies to close off this section before we go for a break. The first case study is, of course, Kamarudin Zakaria. I worked with him. When I say I work with him, not I work for Petronas. I was vendor. I was vendor to PPM and PPT. And he wanted to change the fitness culture. I know I don't look like it anymore, but I used to work for a wellness consultant because my focus was on stress management and mental health. So I used to work for a fitness consultant, and he called us in. The name of the company is YFit, yeah, from 2004 to 2006. And even after then, even after I joined Accenture, I freelanced a little bit to help him finish it up, even in 2008. We went through all the stuff of PPM and PPT. My God, can you imagine? We were cash rich lah, because long-term project. Every week, my mom said to me, I remember my mom said to me, because I got married in 2006. So 2004, I was still single. My mom said to me, you treat this house like a hotel. I would go to Kerteh, do training, go to Melaka for training, come back for 1 day, half a day, go back out again. So my mom says, I don't see you at home. You're treating this house like a hotel. Then after I got married, that was not so possible anymore. But with his help and his insistence, we created a program called CWDS, Corporate Wellness Data Survey. We created assessments. We provided full reports. Each and every one of these people had to go through a glucose test, a cholesterol test, a blood pressure test, a physiological age test, and the UKJK, Ujian Kecerdasan Jasmani Kebangsaan. They had to do 2.4 kilometer run, all of that stuff. And after we left, KZ and his HR continued the process. They provided that safety, they provided that encouragement, they provided rewards, they gave rewards to anybody who lost weight after so much biggest loser, all of that, right? So our role as a vendor, of course, we just did the programs. We left and they continued the process. They created that environment where people wanted to learn, people wanted to and they shared their experiences with each other. So we did PPM so much that we no more jobs with PPM. Of course, we made money, but the problem is no more follow-up jobs. There's nothing else to do. They were running their own fitness culture on their own. So then when KZ moved to Terengganu, he brought us along and we did Terengganu until nothing else to do. Then he went to KLCC, he brought us along. So we still got work lah, but we couldn't do work in those places because they had already created it. There's nothing left for us to do. Okay? In Terengganu, I remember he switched off the lifts every Thursday. Every Thursday, switch off the lift. You have to walk up and down. But thank God, I think there was nobody who was disabled or something like that. You have to walk up and down. Every Friday, you can leave work 1 hour early, provided you spend that hour in the gym. This is top down. Huh? This is what it looks like when the CEO himself or herself takes charge of the learning culture. Okay, so that's Petronas, but not the whole of Petronas, specifically KZ. And I still look up to this guy because, my God, he's a powerhouse. Yeah, he's a true powerhouse. Go and search for him. You'll find him somewhere. If you want to invite him to come and speak at your company, tell him Nazrin sent you. He might have forgotten my name though. Then we come to Accenture. Okay, so yes, I love Accenture, but I'm not going to say it's the best company in the world. I'm going to explain to you how they've done it. Okay, so number one, in terms of performance management, is built in to the learning culture. Okay, so how do they do performance management? They have 3 bubbles. They call it 3 leadership bubbles. Every employee in the company will be measured by these 3 bubbles. According to these 3 bubbles, when they do the performance management every 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. The first bubble is called value creator. Are you creating value as an employee for the client, or are you destroying value? Okay, so are you actually coming up with solutions? Are you able to continuously improve on your own and help other people as well? The second bubble is business operator. Sure, we do stuff. Are you able to operate the business, yeah, as if it was your own business? Are you aware of wastages or leakages or inefficiency or effectiveness that you can help fix? And last but not least is people developer. Are you helping your colleagues? Are you helping your subordinates develop in their career? Helping them to understand work that they cannot do, helping them to be better at what they do. And every time you get measured on this, it's called a 3+1. So when my boss would measure me, she says, okay, what have you done these 3 months to create value, to develop people, to operate the business? And then the +1 is, what have you done for yourself? So 3 for the company, 1 for yourself. So I have to create 4 goals. These 3 months, I need to do something to create value, or develop people and operate the business, and 1 for myself, 3+1. Okay, so it's built into this. Now, every training program that they run also has these 3 bubbles. You see this again and again and again. It is reinforcement everywhere. Every training program that you go for, whether it's online, virtual, face-to-face, recorded session, this will be designed in. You might not see the words, but it's designed into the program. So it's a total brainwashing. Number 2 is core values alignment. So Accenture has 6 core values. And the fact that I remember it even 7, 8 years after I left, I remember the core values is testament to their ability to brainwash. Now, mind you, I'm not graduate hire though. I did not leave university and jump into Accenture and get brainwashed. I was experienced hire. I had worked for quite a number of years before I joined Accenture. That means, well, even I also can get brainwashed. So Accenture has 6 core values: client value creation, 1 global network. That means you can work with everyone in Accenture around the world. Respect for the individual. Best people. So best people is the learning culture. You do your best, you be your best 24/7. Therefore, you can create value for the client. Integrity, very important. And stewardship, my favorite. Stewardship is the ability to create and leave a legacy for the future. So ownership means you take care of the job that was given to you. Stewardship means that you help take care of somebody else's job. If you see your friend struggling doing a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet, you finish your work. You're supposed to go home. You say, okay, bye-bye. I finished 3 spreadsheets already assigned to me. I'm going home. But you see your friend struggling. Ownership says you are right. Go home. Stewardship says go and help this guy. Okay. So imagine if everyone in your organization practice stewardship. Technically, you won't even need to call trainers anymore, because there's always someone who's good at Microsoft Excel can teach you. There's always someone who's good at presentation skills can teach you. I dare say, and I've said this to clients, I dare say there's always someone who can take on that role as a trainer to share their knowledge with your own people. But why do you still need trainers to come in? I don't know. It sounds terrible, right? It's like I'm killing my own business. But think about it. I'm sure you know someone who's a good public speaker, right? Why you still call a public speaker trainer to come and teach your people? All right. So then we have rewards and recognition alignment. So not only performance management, but HR also aligns your rewards and recognition. We reward you because you're a good value creator, because you're a good people developer, because you're a good business operator, because you practice client value, one global network, all of this, Corbis. Yeah, Corbis, Corbis. And all training programs are also designed around the 6 core values, which means total brainwashing in a positive way, subliminal inculcation of the learning mentality, learning mindset. Okay, this is at conceptual level. Operationally, what did they do to make that happen? Well, they have what we call professional schools. So this is where I was involved mostly. The 5 learning centers around the world would run professional schools. And these schools are not just 2-day programs. They are 5-day programs, 2-week programs, where an analyst, a consultant, a manager, a senior manager, or a senior executive can go away for 1 week or 2 weeks and really learn, get skills, and then come back. Because 2-day program, come on lah. Be honest lah. A 2-day program can change people. Most times cannot. So if we can take them in, we turn it into a 5-day program or 2-week program, you get a lot more consistency, you get a lot more efficiency. That's what Accenture discovered. So Accenture runs professional schools. Yeah. So this is the school in St. Charles. This ballroom is much, much bigger than the picture shows. I was there in 2008. This is the school in KL. So Sheraton Imperial Hotel is a bit smaller. We cannot operate like they can operate in the States. So you see the ceiling is very low compared to their ballroom ceiling very high. So this is one of the classrooms that can, 3 classrooms that can open up into one large plenary. I think there were 3 projectors running at the same time. Then we have volunteer faculty. So the people who teach the schools are not external trainers. We don't call in external trainers. We get the consultants, managers, senior managers, and senior executives themselves to teach the schools. And that's where my role was in Accenture. If you are a senior executive from, say, South Africa, you come to KL, you fly in Friday night, Saturday and Sunday, I will sit with you. So I've sat with a maximum of, say, 18 faculty at the same time, and I run a very intensive train the trainer. The course has already been designed. I teach you how to teach the course. Okay, so I teach you, okay, these parts of the course, you can share your experience on this slide, on this slide, on this slide. So you make the course your own, as if you design the course. So Saturday, Sunday, I sit with you, we do intensive train the trainer. Monday to Friday, you as a faculty will teach the course to the Accenture participants. I will monitor you from the back. If I did a good job Saturday and Sunday, Monday to Friday, I'm at the back of the room playing Facebook. That's it. If I did a good job, preparing you. But if I did a bad job preparing you, at the end of every day, the participants will do feedback though. Yeah, every day. And that feedback gets read by my boss in Chicago. And if the feedback for day 1 is bad, I will get a call, a video call, say, Nazrin, what the hell happened? So I have to make sure that you're on the ball every day. During break, during lunch, I'll come up to you as faculty and say, okay, maybe try this activity. So I have to be on the ball the whole 5 days, monitoring from the back. And if you cannot teach, I have to take over and teach for you. So can you imagine the amount of pressure on me? But I was fantastic. I loved it to bits. Now what happens is when you take your own staff to train your own people, what happens is when you go back, of course, you will want to cascade your learning to your own people. When your own people go for training and they come back, you are still in faculty mode. You want them to practice what they've learned. So when we said manager must be involved, Accenture has done it even cleverer. They force the managers to teach, which means it changes their mindset to a learning mindset, that when they go back to the workplace, any of their staff that come back from training, they already have the mindset, okay, what did you learn? Okay, so rather than tell the managers, you must be like this, they involve the managers as faculty. And even managers who didn't like teaching enjoyed themselves. They said it's a fantastic experience. I never thought I could do this. Now, guys, I want you to imagine if this is the power of getting people to be involved in the learning culture, right? There are many things, many other things you can see, right? Pause. Yes, Accenture has a lot of money, of course. Accenture is a big organization, of course. But the bigger the organization, the more difficult you educate, right? So even if you are at a small company, you're going to be facing the same issues as well. What other things did Accenture do? There is something called the ADP, or Accenture Development Partnerships. Sometimes when you work in corporate, you get burnt out. No? You work too long, you get burnt out. So they offered something called the ADP, where you can not work on in Accenture's projects. You can work for an NGO. So there are a lot of NGOs around the world that need consulting services. A lot of NGOs, they know how to do charity, but they don't know how to run the business well. So there's always wastage, there's always leakage, there's always waste money, things like that. So you as a consultant can take 6 months to a year off, go to a village in Africa, go to somewhere in Cambodia, go somewhere where the NGO is working, and you consult, you run a project for that NGO, but your salary will be slashed by half. Okay, so you take a hit, 50% hit on your salary, but your accommodation, your room and board, everything, food, everything is taken care of. You just get half salary. And Accenture people make a lot of money though. So even at half salary, they're still okay. So the idea is you go and do that. And a lot of people, they say when they came back from that project, they feel re-energized, they feel revitalized, they feel like a human being again. Because when you work in corporate, you do all this consulting work, sometimes you start feeling like a robot. So Accenture Development Partnerships was a win-win way for Accenture to offer to NGOs, we can do the consulting work at half the price. Okay, we're going to cut with half the price, and we have consultants willing to do that. So you cannot afford us at normal rate, we give you half, but you get the same quality because our consultants will always do their best. The last one that they like to do something is also something called Skills to Succeed. The Skills to Succeed Academy is a smaller version where you can say to your boss, I am very good at Microsoft Excel. I would like to go to a school in Malaysia somewhere where we can teach the kids Microsoft Excel. So Accenture gets involved with certain schools, government schools, and they set certain dates where this week, okay, Ain will go and teach Excel. Next week, Edward will go and teach guitar. Next week, maybe Fatin will go and teach emotional intelligence. Things that you are already good at, that you don't need training for. And what happens is, if you sakit hati with your boss, you sakit hati with your work, this is a way to recharge you. Okay, so these are some of the things that Accenture has done and things that I've been part of. Of course, some other things like they have a whole website called the KX, or the Knowledge Exchange. Every single piece of knowledge on projects that has been Accenture has learned from projects is documented in that website. It's called KX. And to this day, they still have it. So if you need to know something, let's just say you are a consultant, you're starting a project on oil and gas company, but you know nothing about oil and gas. Or somebody said aviation just now, right? So this could have saved your life because you're starting a project on aviation, but you know nothing about aviation. You can quickly upskill yourself in this website because all the consultants previously will give you tips and tricks. And these are the things you need to know about Malaysia's aviation industry. These are the big hitters. These are the major problems that they face, common issues, things like that. So it's a website before its time, long before we had, all of these big internet stuff. Back then, they were already doing it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. We're going to take a break now, and that will be from now until 4 o'clock. I'll see you back here at 4 o'clock. Thank you very much. Have a good break. Bye-bye, everyone. For every input, there must be an output. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to go back to the Padlet, and I want you to find the section that says your key takeaways. And I want you to write in there, what have you learned from the 2 hours, the earlier session that you had with me just now before the break. And feel free to be as detailed as possible. You know why? Because other people will be reading your answers as well. So this is what we call cross-learning. If you remember just now, we said share learning with each other. Everyone listened to Nazrin, which is one source, but everyone actually learned something different. So in order for you to increase your learning, share your learning with others, document your key takeaways, and if possible, don't use 1 or 2 words. Give me a sentence, give me a couple of sentences. I'll give you 5 minutes to do this. That's a comfortable 5 minutes. So we're getting a couple of answers already. Chris, thank you very much. I love your passion sharing with us. Every time I see you, I really appreciate that. Wiling especially, Wiling has been staunch supporter, has been attending as much as he can, even though she has meetings. Thank you, Wiling. So Wiling says, learning culture needs to be developed and it's a continuous journey. Well, culture is. Right, when you think of culture anywhere, English culture, Malay culture, Chinese culture, Indian culture, whatever culture it is, your home family in your house has its own culture that's separate from your neighbor's culture, right? So it is maintenance. Culture needs to be maintained. If the people who care about the culture maintains it, it will do wonders. Chris says good learning environment, engagement, relevance, and satisfaction. Yes, manage processes, engage people. People are not processed and therefore cannot, yes, should not be managed, cannot be managed. Yeah, you try your best. You cannot manage them if you're using management techniques. You have to use leadership techniques to engage people. Tough times require new learnings to form new mindsets and develop new ways of doing things. Therefore, when times are tough, that's when you need to focus on the learning. Chloe says, reinforcement and reminders. I feel is important and crucial to answer what is it for, especially as an L&D practitioner. Knowledge flow, it gives me another perspective today after the session, because indeed it is just like the cash flow concept. Hopefully our leaders can realize this and support learning culture in this organization. Guys, this is going to be turned into a recording. It will be put on YouTube. Feel free to just, you want to download the video and do snippets, you put on TikTok, or you want to just send a small snippet to your boss, feel free to do so. I'll be happy to be the one he scolds rather than he scolds you. Say, what stupid guy? What kind of L&D practitioner is this? I've never met someone like this. That's okay. Let me take the hit. Miko says, lead by example, constructive feedback, support each other's, continuously improve, create learning culture, which is change of mindset. Yes, culture comes from mindset. So when you look at Malaysia, sometimes we have positive things, sometimes negative things. All the positive things are because of a good mindset. All the negative things are also because of a negative mindset. Create learning culture, reward and recognition, manage people / process, be empathic, okay? Farini says, my key takeaway is building a sustainable learning culture requires a holistic approach that integrates by fostering a culture that values continuous learning, aligning learning with organizational goals, yes, designing, engaging in practical learning experiences, and continuously measuring and improving the impact of learning initiatives. Organization can drive sustainable change and achieve long-term success. So Farini, your takeaways a little bit are from the other session we did, L&D Made Easy. Yeah? Bharati says, regarding the 5th discipline, return of learning books, go find them. Hey, no. I have them in resources. I had them for L&D Made Easy. I'm going to put into this Google Drive. So after the class today, if you go to the Google Drive, you find it there. Manjit says, 2 interesting books to read, which I will buy and read for sure. Thank you. The 5th discipline and return on learning. Learning culture values, 4 points. The values, yes, 4 points. Something to practice, manage processes, but engage people. Accenture case study, very interesting learning culture. Also because I make it sound fantastic lah. The people, while we were there, we were suffering. We were suffering. trying to get the culture to maintain as it is. But now that I can step away from it, I see the fruits of the labor. I don't know who this is. Learning culture must develop and it is a continuous process, uh, is a lifelong learning. An organization must be more empathic with each other and humanizing with each other. Mook says, build or deliver sustainable and impactful learning. Norain says, learning culture should be cross-culturally and should be encouraged. Jaden says, learning culture is a sustainable change involving environment where continuous learning and improvement are prioritized. I believe if a company may boost employee satisfaction and loyalty by providing learning opportunities. Well, actually, that's always been the case. Even in government, they say, oh, we reward you by sending you for training. Because once upon a time, you get sent for like 7 habits of highly effective people. These things were expensive. So people felt, wow, I get to go away, get to stay at a hotel, get to eat hotel food. It was treated as reward. Now, do in-house training. Where do you go? You go to the next department. You go to the next room. You got training room inside the office. Your boss keeps calling you. You get sandwiches for lunch. So I'm not criticizing. I'm observing. Yeah. So it doesn't feel like it's a reward anymore. Uma says the list of books useful for learning development. Yes. Oh, I can give you a list of many books. But these two are definitely the ones that I prioritize more. Practice on managed process by engage people. Lastly, case study of Accenture. Edward, oh my God, Edward. I'm going to try and cut down on reading yours. Management involvement is important, but not just showing face. Aha. Yes, definitely. As trainer, coach need to have 2 ways of learning. We learn, trainer learn from training. And yes, so guys, this is important. I almost forgot about this. Please write this down. Reverse mentoring. This is a new concept. Some of you might have heard of it. Reverse mentoring is learning from your subordinates, because subordinates sometimes know something more than you, especially if they know more about TikTok or stuff. Give them the opportunity to teach you. That helps create safety. So please write that word down somewhere, reverse mentoring, and then go and Google for it. Go and watch videos about it. I promise you, it is a new concept that will help change mindsets. Reverse mentoring. Okay, so thank you, Edward, for reminding me of that. Number 3, if the training is end, we need to sustain culture by communicating with participants, continue listening to the problems, try to advise them by leading questions. Thank you. Do not just reinforce, you need refreshment training already. Mock says, I like the learning culture values. I want a create a proposal for my boss using the model. Not sure. Contact me afterwards. Let's do something, right? And I'm not even talking about money or payment. Like, let's see if we can do something for you in your organization. Christopher says there are companies that send their staff as punishment. Yeah, I know, because sometimes when they come, they say to me, Mr. Nazrin, my boss thinks I'm not a good communicator. That's why he sends me. I think he's the one who should come for communication training. My God, I can't tell you how many people I've heard say that to me. And I said, I'll tell you what, right? Let's take revenge on your boss. You become a better communicator than him until he wants to learn from you. Can? And they say can. And then we do the training. So I tend to motivate them a slightly different way. Santa Maria says build safety, share vulnerability, and establish purpose. Weiling says my ex-boss once said environment shapes behavior. My current company links learn facilitate to KPI. People will adapt to achieve this easy KPI. Yeah. I also tell when I run trainings, and you'll notice I do this to you as well, I tend to talk about family. I tend to appeal to people's sense of family. Okay, so when I do communication training or leadership training, whatever, negotiation training, I can see that some people are forced to come. You can see it in their faces, right? But what I say to them is that, okay, guess what? I know your company sent you. I know, and I said up front, I know it might not be your choice to come, but here's my promise to you, right? Everything you're going to learn in these next 2 days is fully applicable to any human being, including your family members. Right? So today you're going to learn communication skills with me. You're going to learn leadership skills with me. Every single technique I teach you that you use with your subordinates is also fully applicable with your children, with your husband, with your wife, with your brother, your sister, your mother, your father, anybody who is a human being. Because the psychological techniques I teach you for communication and leadership, right, will affect people's brains the same way. And after I say that, you can see their face, they become more relaxed and they go, oh yes. And that's how I get buy-in and commitment from them, because I need a change of mindset. If they're going to sit in that mindset, I cannot force them out. They will say the same thing to me. Thank you, Mr. Nazrin, for the course. I really enjoyed it. But when I go back to work, my boss will insist I use his way. And I never want to hear that ever again. I've heard it too many times in 2015 and 2016. Never again. Right? Thank you very much, everyone, for your participation. Now let's come into the second section of today. I can almost already predict what you're going to say to me, Nazrin. All you talk about Accenture lah, Petronas lah. Of course, these companies got money lah. I am one small kuchi bread, little little guy, HR in a company that's less than 100 people. How you expect me to do this? Well, actually, if you have less 100 people, if you're an SME, that's actually a lot easier. You have to remember, Accenture with 800,000 staff back then, it was no joke, man. They had to move fast, strategize fast, but they had to implement globally. So here's the thing, guys. Budget actually is not an issue. Okay, if you trust me, budget is not actually an issue. It is getting buy-in from the people themselves. So when we talk about culture, and doesn't matter what kind of culture, organizational culture, learning culture, Malaysian culture, as long as it's a group of people coming together, that is culture. So whatever we talk about in Malay culture or Chinese culture also applies in organizational culture. So all cultures, right, can be analyzed using what is called the cultural onion, where it says that at the basis of every culture is values. So if a group of people come together and they share the same values, they will probably share the same mindset. If your value is this company is not treating me well, this company, no point working at this company lah. Anytime I can go, I can look for a new job, I will look for a new job. This company is talk so much but never do it. So if everyone shares the same values, right, it creates the culture of that organization, that everybody does not believe in the organization's purpose, does not believe in the core values, does not believe in the philosophy or mission and vision. If everyone or most people in the organization don't believe in the core values, in fact, they say nonsense lah, it's just crap lah. They don't believe in the core values, the mission and vision, the strategy, the transformation strategy. They don't believe in it. They don't believe it's going to work. Then the culture around it will not support it. So at the core, if you want to change culture, thank you, Edward. There we go. White elephants are efforts like transformation program or change management. A lot of them tend to be lip service because they don't change the values. The values, hang on, Christopher, you and I, we say the same words. I call them core values on the wall behind the receptionist. You walk into an organization, the receptionist is in front, the wall behind her or him has core values on the wall, not in the heart. Core values on the wall, not in the heart of the people. So I have had organizations say, oh, these are our core values. No. These are core values HR came up with. These are core values they workshop and they brainstorm. These are not core values of the people. And they say, oh, our people know these are our core values. Guys, knowing and believing are two different things. And in fact, I would love to do, just go up to the CEO. What are the core values of your organization? CEO also cannot remember sometimes. CEO also don't remember. We practice. You know why? Because the CEO didn't come up with the core values. It was either HR or a strategy unit or something like that. Corporate com. In most cases, corporate com or marketing comes up with it. So do you realize, I think you do realize, you understand, you're frustrated like me, right? Core values should be emanating from inside out, not forced from outside in. And when companies say, oh, these are our core values, our people should know. We already gave briefing. You gave briefing. Come on lah. Just because you brief, they will remember, they will understand, they will know how to apply in real life. No, that's a fantasy, that's a fairy tale. And feel free to show your boss this video. So just so in case you can't say it, let me say it to them. It's a fantasy. There's no measure on earth that you can use to prove to me that it works. Okay, Nazrin being real right now. The next level is goals. If you have the right mindset, the right values, then you will also have the right goals. If a group of people come together and they share the same goals, for themselves professionally, for the organization. We can transform the organization. We can change management properly because we all believe that it's necessary. Yeah, that's why change management is actually a whole study. It's a whole field of study. How do we move the hearts and minds of people at the same time together, get them to not only understand, but believe and commit to the change and actually do the change? Four things. Be aware of the change that's coming, understand the change and how it impacts them and other people. Buy in, commit to the change, believe that it's actually necessary, it's urgent and important, and then take steps to fix. Four things that they have to do if they want to do proper change management. Mock says, after I left my ex-company for 1 year plus, I still remember the ex-company core values and I bring these values wherever I go. Yes. So thoroughly brainwashed. Number 3 is narrative. Narrative means what you and I say to each other about the company when the boss is not listening. That's the true narrative of the company. Okay? I'll give you an example, right? Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to give me a yes or no in the chat again. The company you're working at right now, would you recommend any of your family members to work there? And anybody who answers, don't worry, the recording does not include the chat, so nobody knows, unless I read it out. Unless I read your name out, which I won't. So the question is, the company you're working at right now, would you recommend any of your family members to work? This is sad. Look at this. This is sad. Yeah, people on YouTube, if you're watching this, you're not reading the chat. The chat is going no, 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 no. One person says yes, no. One person says certain department. One person says yes. So the people who say yes, you're probably enjoying that environment. You're probably enjoying the culture that they have built. Yeah. And the people say certain department, that means there are some what we call little Napoleons in there that are toxic. You have toxic departments. You don't have a toxic in organization, but certain departments are toxic. I'll give you another example. Yeah, was it during the pandemic? I can't remember what year it was, but I remember it was during Ramadan. So I need to take care better of my health. Definitely, I'm still in the process. But that year I got kidney stones. Right? There's no way I can explain to you how painful kidney stones are. There's no way. Some people have compared it to childbirth. I don't know. If that's childbirth, my God. My wife had 5 kids. She's a superhero, man. So if anybody has had kidney stones, please tell me here. But there was that year during Ramadan, which was triggered by a lack of water, yeah, because I was fasting. I had kidney stones. And in my life, I had 3 times, kana, which means that I had to go to hospital Selayang. So the Euro unit, there's only a few Euro units available. Hospital Selayang, near where I live in Rawang, and one is HKL, Hospital Kuala Lumpur. It is very rare to find Euro units. So when I went there, I was the youngest person there. I was the youngest person there. All the other old people suffer kidney stones. I'm the youngest. So the nurses just looked at me and shook their heads like, why are you here? You shouldn't be here. And I said, I'm sorry, I've not been taking care of my health. Here's the thing, right? When I was wheeled on the wheelchair to the X-ray department to take an X-ray, the orderly, this man who pushed me, actually said to me, Bang, pergi berubat kampung lah bang, lagi bagus. He actually said to me, the hospital no good. You better go to kampung and go traditional medicine. Now, question, is that the narrative of the hospital? Yes or no? So if you are a leader and you don't realize what your people are actually saying about your organization, what kind of leader are you? What are the people actually say? Okay, the people who say no, 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 when I ask you the question, will you recommend any of your family members to work? That means your leaders don't know what you're saying. Betul? They don't know what's being said down there. So you might think we're doing a fantastic transformation program. Everybody is on board. Bluffing only lah. At that level, they don't believe in what you're selling. They don't set in their goal plan also. That in fact they're waiting to leave the organization. Any chance can go. I don't want to be part of this transformation. I don't believe in it. And they also talk differently. Okay. The last part of the onion is what we call rituals. Rituals is, and the word ritual is there because it works for, ethnic culture, like English culture, German culture, ethnic culture, and organization culture. What is the definition of ritual? It is something that you do every day. Yeah, something that you do every day. So in the daily rituals, have you implemented the learning culture that you want? Is it part and parcel of your SOPs? Is it part and parcel of your daily thing? Now, have you heard of Japanese companies every morning will do exercise? Yes or no? So their daily ritual is doing that daily exercise. Now, here's the question: how do we cascade? Well, we come back to the 4 learning culture components. The first component is resources and development opportunities. Okay, so there are many ways of doing this. I recommend 3 ways. Number 1 is knowledge management. Capture and curate knowledge from people, projects, and practices. This is what Accenture does very, very well. If you are an expert in Microsoft Excel, they will pay you to create a course on Microsoft Excel that they can own. Yeah, does that make sense to you? I got 100 employees. Each of them are expert in something. Let's capture all of that knowledge into documentation, into a course, into a slide deck. What the heck? Anything can do. Into a short video. Get them to make videos. So we capture. And when we capture that, we now have information, knowledge that we can share with other people. Yeah. And it's not expensive. It's not expensive to do. Repository, create an accessible library, even if it is just as simple as a Google Drive or a SharePoint. So create an accessible library for people to be able to learn on their own. They know where everything is. And that's why for my virtual classes, you notice I will create a website and I'll create links to Google Drive, because if I'm just going to put stuff into the chat and you have to download from there, and then afterwards, alamak, I want to download, it's gone already lah. The meeting is over. The Zoom meeting is done. So create something that provides that structure. Okay, so for my virtual classes, I give you that structure. It's a website, it's a temporary WhatsApp group, it is it's a Facebook post where you can ask questions. And last but not least is learning and performance. So for those of you who attended my class last week, which is L&D Made Easy, you will know that the transition has been from training and development to learning and development to now learning and performance. What is training and development? We run training and then we develop the people. Fine. In the early 2000s, the Americans discovered not enough. Training is a wrong mindset. It should be learning. We should be focusing on what people learn, not focusing on what we need to train them in. So TNA now becomes LNA, learning needs analysis. Okay. So now it's called learning and development. Okay, fine. But then we have the problem on knowledge transfer. We were focusing too much on what they learn. Now we need to know, wait, can they actually apply it at work or not? Now it's transition in the last 5 years, transition to learning and performance, no longer learning and development. So if some of your companies are still doing training and development or learning and development, in terms of the mindset has not changed yet. Hopefully only the name remains, but the mindset has changed. Okay, but if you want to be able to represent it well, it's now learning and performance. Whatever they have learned, does it translate to real performance? Does it translate to real results? I send you for a report writing workshop course. Yeah. When you come back and you start writing your reports, are you able to write your reports faster, more efficiently, with less time, with less mistakes? And if I can count that you used to take 1 hour to write the report, now you're doing 45 minutes, which is not bad. That's a 25% reduction in time, which means 25% savings on your salary. That means I'm paying you this much, but I'm getting 25% extra productivity. If you're able to write the report in 30 minutes, wow, I have managed to optimize 50%. Okay, so does the learning actually translate to performance? But if HR and L&D or T&D is only box ticking, KPI, okay, project, okay, workshop done, feedback form, said the course was good, everyone liked it. If that's all you're focusing on, then you will not be able to build a learning culture. You are building a KPI culture, box ticking lah. Okay, done. The second component, and all four components must be there. It's not just one. All four components, they help support each other. Managers' involvement. And here I'm going to introduce you a third book I love. It's called The 1 Minute Manager. I highly recommend to any leader, any manager, any supervisor, any parent to get this book. It's called The 1 Minute Manager. It is very thin, but it contains very, very powerful techniques of how to interact and engage and recognize and make corrections. So when your people make a mistake, how do you correct them? How do you tegur them? How do you make sure they don't make the same mistake again without offending them, without hurting their feelings? Now pause. I'm not asking you to be overly kind to your people because, oh, these young people all very strawberry, they need to be mollycoddled. No. I'm asking you to be empathic to them so that communicate with them in a way that is efficient and effective. You want them to do something, you cannot scold them. Scold them gets nothing. Yeah, you get compliance, but you don't get commitment. Oh, that's another word you can take. Okay. You ask your bosses, you ask your people, do you want your people to be compliant or committed? If you could choose only one, which would it be? Most people will say, I want commitment. But if you ask the question first, do you want your people to be compliant? They will say yes. Then you ask the second question. Okay, between compliance and commitment, which would you prefer? Commitment. No. Why? Because they realize commitment leads to compliance. But compliance does not lead to commitment. Compliance means I'm forced to do. When my boss is around, I do. When my boss is not around, I don't do. Okay, that's compliance. Commitment means I fully believe in this effort. I believe in the urgency. I believe in the importance. I believe I need to put in extra effort when necessary to be able to make this work. If my boss is around or my boss not around, I will commit to it. And that commitment leads to compliance. Okay, so try this out. Ask your boss, you like commitment or boss, you like compliance? Yes. Which you prefer, compliance or commitment? Both can. And you say, no, cannot both, one only. So they will often, almost always choose commitment, and commitment leads to compliance. So managers' involvement. I've given you examples already what managers can do, but basically what managers must be on the ball is monitoring. Track learning and performance progress. Show that you care. Show interest and attention. Write that word, those two words down. Show interest and attention. Okay, pay attention to their growth. And this is what KZ did very, very well. Whether it was their personal status of, okay, was anybody pregnant, was anybody sick, or their learning status, he was always on the ball. So take an interest and pay attention. Number two, encourage. This is a more emotional thing to do, right? So encouraging means you coach them. You ask them questions to help them figure things out. You guide them in order for them to grow and give them areas to make mistakes. Now, this is very philosophical. I'm going to be practical about this. There's two kinds of mistakes. Number one is a critical mistake. You do, you die. The organization also dies. That's a critical mistake. I will say for organizations such as financial organizations, FSI, manufacturing, oil and gas, medicine, okay, you are not allowed to allow your people to make critical mistakes. Because after you die, after they die, you die, okay? You're not allowed to make critical mistakes. But there are certain areas where you can give them free leeway to make mistakes and say, okay, tak apa. Yeah. Okay, try this out. Let's see what works. But the one that they cannot cannot allow them, you handhold until they can do safely. So please don't misunderstand when I say this. I'm giving you a caveat. Allow for mistakes in growth phases only. Only when there's opportunity for growth, not opportunity for death. Danger in the criticality, critical mistakes, never, never. That one you need guidance, a lot more guidance. Reinforcing, and don't focus on the word force. Reinforcement actually means helping them remember, helping them pay attention, helping them stay on the ball, helping them to say, hey, I see you've lost some weight. Keep going, bro, keep going. So not just encouraging, but reinforcing. And cascade your experience. Share your own stories. Yesterday, so with Porsche, very interesting, the CEO and I don't know what the other guy's position is, but both of them are in a competition right now to lose weight, to lose fat. If I remember right, both of them were at the same weight, but the CEO is gaining faster than him. So it was interesting. The group already had a very good learning culture when we came in, so I didn't have to do much. And the fact that they are open to having a long-term training program with them. Yesterday I did leading for excellence, action and performance. So I'm letting them go away now, but I'm monitoring on their WhatsApp group, letting them go away to practice what they've learned. And then next month will be CODA. I'm teaching them coaching. So CODA stands for coaching for objectives, decisions, and actions. So all my training programs are acronyms. Then I let them go and practice coaching with their staff. And I'll coach them as well. I have some coaching sessions with them. And then the last one is PACT, which is passionate and collaborative teaming. I teach them how to build teams, not team building. I teach them how to build teams, how to build relationship between them and a team member, and between team members and team members. Yeah. And then coaching. And the last one is we will have a dinner. We will have a celebration dinner, because imagine going for a long-term program like that, almost 6 months, and then saying, okay, congratulations, here's your certificate by email. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. All right. The last one is rewarding. Oh, I sort of bounced ahead, right? Rewarding is celebrate successes at significant milestones. Don't just, and I'm not even asking you to spend a lot of money lah. Yeah, I've been for project milestones where this the project manager bought pizza and say, okay, let's everybody come today in t-shirt and jeans only. Do something worthwhile, significant. It's not a lot of cost. Okay, so let me just check quickly. What questions do you have for this component? If you have no questions, give me an N. So far, no need money, right? Just a bit of effort lah. Things that you can do at even department level. Let's just say the organization is a toxic one, but your department, you love your department. Do it in your department. Okay, there's no excuse left. Do it in your department, especially if you're HOD, right here. Okay, let's move on. Learning agility. So learning agility speaks about people are different personality types. If you came for my class this morning, which was about psychometrics and personality assessments, you would understand what I'm talking about. Everybody learns differently. Everybody communicates differently. So you must create a way for the managers to motivate their people to learn from different angles. And I'm going to introduce to you another book, even though I don't have the picture here. This book is called Drive by Daniel H. Pink. It's a very good book from a leadership standpoint. In his book, he says that human beings have intrinsic motivation. There's extrinsic motivation, which means you pay them money, they will be motivated. Right? That's extrinsic motivation. You give them recognition, you say nice things to them, they will be motivated. But everybody has intrinsic motivation. That means they are able to motivate themselves because it is something that's important to them. So Daniel Pink says that we focus on, there are some people whose drive, they have an internal drive called mastery. They love to try and experiment and do things and become better and better and better and better. For example, if you have had children before, yeah, and your little child is building a tower made out of blocks, nothing else, just blocks, no cellophane tape, no gum, just wooden blocks or plastic blocks, build a tower, not even Lego, it cannot stick together. And the tower falls over. What does a child do when the tower falls over? Some children will just try again. And if it falls again, they try again. So there are some children who are mastery oriented. They are driven by mastery. They will keep doing. They'll try their best. And if you have had kids, some of your kids have passed through this phase, especially when dressing up to go to school. You are already late. You're trying to put the t-shirt on them, or you're trying to button up for them. They know, mommy, I wear myself. They will take like 30 minutes to try and put on a button. And you are frustrated because wasting time. But the fact is, they will do themselves. So some of your children, or if all children, will pass through that phase in about age 2 or 3 or 4. They will insist they do it. So even as adults, some of us have this want for mastery. But if we cannot get that at work, yeah, sometimes we do too much routine work that when we go home, we'll do something that is good for us mastery. We'll play video games, we'll play guitar. These sort of answers why some youth, some teenagers, they do crazy, crazy things because school is boring. School is bosan lah. So they do something to get that mastery. My son, for example, he plays video games. So he sits there quietly. He does. I know what he plays now. And my God, this guy is like flowing though. He's just going through the flow. He's enjoying himself. And he loves being challenged. He loves doing better again and again and again. And he's doing quite well in his studies because he has that set of mastery. And his attitude is infecting his elder sister and his younger sister at the same time because they see, wait, abang study lah, kena study, kena study. So they all study together at the same time, even though one is form 5, one is form 4, one is standard 6, they study together. So they have accidentally created a learning culture in my house. That's mastery. So some of your employees, if you have subordinates, some of your people are driven by mastery. But some of your people are also driven by autonomy. They like to take time alone to learn. I believe someone here said just now, I prefer to learn self-study. I don't like to go for these training programs where I like to learn at my own pace. So some people, they prefer to make their own decisions. So encourage for these people, give them leeway, tell them, okay, I have an idea for a project. I want you to lead it. Do you have any ideas of how we can run it? If you want this, you take the project, you run with it. You don't have to update me except, the most important part saja. Okay, would you like to do this? On top of your current job, would you like to do this? Some people will take it up. Some people say, no lah, boss, you're trying to get free work out of me. And then there is purpose. Okay, so purpose, there are some people who work because they believe in the organization. Some people work because they believe in the role. There are some L&D people, a lot of L&D people I know, they work in L&D because they love watching people grow. And I feel the same way as well. Yeah, they love helping people. They love seeing people from A get to Z, zero to hero. It's fantastic for them. So the idea is there are some people who want purpose. And I believe there's a lot of HR people here. This is an open secret. There are organizations in Malaysia that find it very hard to recruit people, especially younger people, even though they pay a lot of salary. Okay. But because this is recorded, I'm not going to mention the name of the company. I'm just going to hint because HR people know exactly what I'm talking about. It's a cigarette company. It's a cigarette company based in Malaysia. And they're trying to get people to join the company. They cannot, even though they offer as much salary as they can. Very few people want to join. That was it. Purpose, salary. Well, that's not exactly what we're looking for because salary is external. Yeah, it's an extrinsic motivation. This purpose cannot be related to anything outside. It's something that satisfies them. They feel satisfied because they fulfilled their purpose. A lot of people who are purpose-driven, they actually work in charities and NGOs. Their salaries are very low, but they're happy to work there because they feel like they're making a difference. So yes, they have to find a way to make it worthwhile, right? So that's at a high level. At a low level, when I say low level, it means person-to-person level. You as a leader, if you see that your staff is driven by purpose, okay, this is the kind of person you can turn into a champion. Yeah, this is, you say, okay, I see that you found this very, very interesting. Would you help me to set up a WhatsApp group so that we can share learnings with each other? Right? Oh, thank you, boss. I'll do that for you. No worries. The last one, which is not Daniel Pink's recommendation. This is my recommendation based on my work in Accenture. It is stewardship. Yeah. Some people are driven by stewardship. They want to leave a legacy. They see the processes in this department very bad. I'm going to start changing this process, make it better, make it more efficient, but not for me. By the time the processes are fixed, I will not be in this company anymore. I'm doing it for the future generations, future employees of the company. I want to make life easy for them. Let's go back through the book, right? So Daniel H. Pink, says that human beings nowadays, especially as people become younger and younger and younger in the workforce, yeah, we are no longer, we cannot focus on extrinsic motivation anymore. We cannot just throw money at them. So the more time goes on, people are going to be looking more for intrinsic motivation, and leaders must know how to motivate their people intrinsically for them to create that learning culture, for them to create that learning mindset. Yeah. Okay. Let's move on to the last one. So the last one here, the last component is sharing and learning from others. And I only have a few recommendations here. Yeah. As cheap as a WhatsApp and as expensive as a learning management system, yeah, you can go from there to there. I want you to start thinking, especially with your HR people, start thinking about setting up a community of practice. What is a community of practice? People in the same role, within the same organization, can share their best practices to each other, their tips and tricks, their wisdoms, their advice. Some older practitioners can share their stories, can mentor the younger people. In many cases, this is set up secara tak sengaja as a WhatsApp group of like-minded people, sometimes even HR across companies. Yeah, you see there's a WhatsApp group, a HR WhatsApp group, you join, and that becomes your community of practice. However, sometimes you need to do it within the organization because there are things that are very sensitive, cannot be discussed. So this community of practice will help teach each other, even though they're from different departments. Okay, there should be a group just for managers, not to be, not to complain about their employees, but to share. You know, I tried this with my staff and it works. You know, maybe you should try it with yours. So okay, let's try this. I went for this training, communication training, really good technique stuff. I tried it yesterday. It works on my employee. You try in yours. So a community of practice is just a group of people like-minded who have the same problems, who probably have the same problems because they're in the same role from within the organization. All my NTW topics are aimed towards HR or L&D professionals, not to the normal people. So when you come and you get confused, if you're not HR, you're not L&D, you're probably in the wrong place. Every time we talk about this, you go like, I don't know what these people are talking about. Yeah, because the targeting of the classes I've done are all just for people in this community. Number two, celebrate expertise. Now, you want to be able to create champions. And there's a few companies that do this very well, I've noticed. Intel is one of them because they have a lot of subject matter expertise. You want to ask and appoint who is someone in the organization that is passionate about a particular subject. Are they passionate about public speaking? Are they passionate about leadership? Are they passionate about Microsoft Excel? Doesn't matter. As long as it benefits the company, officially appoint them as a champion of that thing. And they will love it because they already love that stuff. Just don't appoint someone something that they don't love. So celebrate expertise. And after you have that, then you can start doing a series of talks where these people will talk on that subject matter. You know how this works? People are scared of public speaking. But if you know what you're talking about, it comes out fluently, it comes out passionately. People enjoy doing it. So that's why my classes are always like this. I love talking about this stuff, even though I'm worried about what you think about me. But when I'm talking about something I love, I don't care. Accenture does this very, very well. Intel, I know, does this very, very well. Find experts in your organization, acknowledge them as an SME. Okay, give them champion status. Okay, champion, bukan champion as in we are the champions, not that one. Champion here, it means that this person will champion that subject matter to make sure everyone knows it, everyone learns it. Anybody they speak to they will talk about it. And what happens is they start sharing their own. They can do virtual classes, they can do talks, they can record TikToks, they can do a lot of stuff to be able to share the expertise because you have acknowledged it and you have celebrated it. Yes. One last thing I need you to do, and it's not for you, yeah, and it's not for me only, it's for everyone in this room. And that is go to the Padlet and answer this question. Now that you know all of this, yeah, what would be your dream learning culture in your organization that doesn't need to spend so much money to do, whether you have authority to do it or not, Whether you're just one small chiku in there, never mind. Whether you are, you have only friends in your department, you can affect 2 or 3 different people only. Tak payah the whole department, doesn't matter. Do what you can. Don't worry about what you cannot do. What would your dream learning culture be that you will build? Share for everyone to see. Even the people watching this recording will have access to the comments you make in the Padlet, and that will be your, in Malay, in Islam we say is amal jariah, is your merits. Anybody who watches this video and reads your comments will benefit from it, and that's stewardship. And you will get the pahala, you will get the merit if you believe in it. Right? My Buddhist friends call it their merits. So you will get this. I pray you get it. So please go to the Padlet and type it in now. Oh, this is beautiful. Edward says, learning together side by side amongst each other, regardless of position in company. Weiling says, my dream learning culture will be for each and everyone in the company or community to learn at least one thing every day. That is fantastic because it's not expensive. You learn one thing every day. You learn, after a year, you learn 365 things, right? After a year, you learn 365 things. Miko says, effective open communication, continuous learning, embrace change, supportive leadership, and flexibility. Thank you. Rosaini says, previously working environment have knowledge sharing. Since I appreciate attending course training and knowledge sharing afterwards, it is my dream to find in the new working environment. Well, no, Rosaini, what I want is for you to create it. Even if it's just amongst 2 or 3 friends, create it. Yeah. It is my dream to find a new working environment with the same vibe and same vision, knowledge sharing with community of practices. Yeah, thank you. Bharati says, my dream learning culture will be taking risks is encouraged, yes, and support to implement it. Reward and recognition for motivation. Christopher says, learning and performance, shadowing. Everyone is a coach to someone and a coaching with each other. Oh, this is beautiful. Peer coaching. I help you, you help me. This is lovely. Mock says, I hope I can influence all employees to understand learning new knowledge is for themselves and not just to meet KPIs. So even if they leave, they will continue to learn and if possible, transfer the knowledge to others. Uma says, my dream learning culture will provide rewards, recognition, appreciation to motivate everyone, even if it's a simple way. It will encourage the staff even at difficult time. Manjit says, my dream learning culture would be that working in a positive and healthy working environment and a teamwork which practices learning culture. Everyone helps each other to succeed and celebrate each other's success. Continue to support each other, peer-to-peer, which encourage knowledge sharing and transfer. Farini says, aha, knowledge hub, knowledge sharing. So you're already planning for this, eh? A centralized knowledge hub consolidates various types of knowledge, including documents, reports, best practices, and policies and procedures, tips, and etc. Everyone can contribute. So it's like Wikipedia, yeah? Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. But first, you need to create champions. You need to motivate them to want to do. Because if you just build, they will not come. You have to start from the values. What you're doing here is the rituals. Start from the value. Get the excitement first. Ask who is interested and then get those people to be involved. Otherwise, you'll be like me. You're the only one building it. You're the only one who cares about it. You're the only one who reads it every day, does it every day. Nobody else is doing it. And then they see, you see, Nazrin, biarlah dia buat seorang. So I believe, I pray you get this done. Only thing is be careful because eventually nanti you jadi CEO, Chief Everything Officer. Semua pun you yang kena buat. Okay, so you want to create champions who can help you with this. What are some conclusions I can give you? Okay, so just as a reminder, to begin creating a learning culture in the workplace, you need to create a structure that will support it. So Farini, I love the idea of having a knowledge hub. That's a structure. Good, you have that. Then you need to engage the people, get them excited about the knowledge hub, get them to actually want to contribute, want to participate, and then manage the processes that are happening. Engage people, manage the processes. Okay, so provide structure. Involve managers, provide opportunities, cater to individual learning styles, and foster cross-learning. Out of all of these, the most powerful one, the most fun one, the most exciting one is cross-learning. Okay, so whenever I go to companies, I always recommend that they do something, depends on companies, sometimes they call it different things. In Accenture, it was called a brown bag. American style. A brown bag means you bring your lunch to a training room And then one person will do a very quick 30 minutes to 1 hour training in something that they are subject matter on. Doesn't matter, you play guitar ke, you want to teach how to prompt engineering ke, you want to teach how to make food ke apa ke, is up to you, right? As long as you don't kotorkan the place lah. So while everybody is having lunch, they are learning at the same time. So the, in Accenture, it's called a brown bag. Do it during lunch because then you can eat and learn. Some companies, they do it on a Friday because they realize Friday people are ramping down, they don't want to do work. So they do something called a lunch and learn, where everybody in that department takes 1 hour off and goes and learn together. Yeah. So this week, siapa punya turn? Next week, siapa punya turn? Next week, siapa punya turn? Because you've already created champions and it's free of charge. So you got the skill session, you got the lunch and learn, and you got the brown bag. But basically, they all mean the same thing. Yeah. Okay. So this is my last slide. There's a few things left I would just like to run you through. My name is Nazrin, and I run a company called NSync Learning. And in Malaysia, NSync Learning runs professional work skills workshops, which deal with everything from thinking skills to performing skills, to connecting skills to leadership skills. So thinking, like critical thinking, creative thinking, design thinking, stress management, motivation, resilience, EQ, we do that. Performing skills like self-discipline, goal setting, strategic thinking, what's the word? Habit forming, change, things like that. Thinking's connecting skills like interpersonal communication, coaching, persuasion, selling, and of course leadership skills like storytelling, inspirational storytelling, coaching. We have quite a lot of stuff as well. I'm running out of things to say. For those in L&D, we have the Academy for Learning Professionals. So we have certification programs that are recognized, and we have programs that are not recognized. Just the stuff that I run. I teach competency frameworks, instructional design, games design for classes, for training, learning coaching. Okay, how to be a learning coach. A coach, but specific to help people learn to overcome their learning challenges. I also teach learning facilitation, learning event assessment. How do you assess a learning event at different levels for return on investment, for results, for behavior change, for retention of learning, and also for reaction. I also teach virtual learning skills, how to use virtual tools to teach, to run programs. And last but not least, I also teach how to run assessment centers. So this is a bit of an advert, but I just want to run you through. I just have one more thing to share. If any one of you know anyone, an internal trainer who would like to learn how to run a leadership program, how to run a problem-solving program, a communication program, design thinking, thinking skill program, I will be running this year from August until December. We've been doing this for the past 2 years already. So this is not a trainer. I'm not teaching you how to be a trainer. I'm teaching trainers how to run a leadership program, and it's my leadership program. They will inherit the program. They can run it. They don't need to pay royalty every year lah. None of this nonsense. Once they go for the program, they own the program. They can run it for their own companies. Okay, so that's all I wanted to share with you. If anybody's interested, please get them to get in touch with me. However, guys, last but not least, for me to report to NTW and HRDC to say that you have been good participants, you have been doing your best, I need evidence that you did attend. So I get the evidence from Zoom, the Zoom report, but also I need to see that you have actually learned this well. So please go to do the post test on your own. Please get this done within the next 30 minutes. But basically, that's all from me. I have shared everything I want to share with you. I pray you got benefit from it. I pray that you are able to go home, go back to your workplace, and do your best. And I hope you had fun with this. Okay, Weiling, thank you for the session. But that's all from me. Have a good day, everyone. Have a good week coming up ahead. I wish you all the best. Have a good time. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bye-bye, everyone.